ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dan Watson.
I'm Paul Sloggett, a very excited Paul Sloggett at that. Welcome to the Dirt.
Hey, and that's the truth. We got a really big episode here, really big episode.
Right, this is going to be the best history lesson you've ever attended. Never mind crop rotation in the 14th century. This one's going to be banging.
Ain't that the truth? If you haven't already noticed, there's a bit of a theme going on in the background. The posts have been out there asking for the community questions, of which we have had a load. But without further ado, it really is time to get them in here. Let's welcome back into the room Joel and Jason Lee. They are, hopefully, let me get rid of that. There we go.
Good afternoon
in the room.
And good morning.
Yes. Good night. Good day to you all.
Happy Friday. Saturday.
Friday still for an hour and a half.
Yeah. I'm covering the Saturday news. If you guys want to know what's going on in the future, ask me. Yeah, what happened on Saturday morning? I'll tell you.
Yeah. What happened tomorrow?
It's good. It's good. Tomorrow's good. It's the best day of your life.
It looks good. Are you standing up?
Have you got the UK lottery numbers there by any chance?
Yeah, Charlie's got. We'll get him. If people stick to the end of the podcast, we'll give you the lottery numbers. Yeah, watch the whole thing.
Good idea.
It's true. It's true. You got to watch it all the way to the end. It looks a glorious day in the background of yours. I can see the sun bursting in through the window door. Hey guys, thank you so much for doing us the honor of having you on. There's a myriad of thanks to be had here, so we don't really want to gush too much as you'll see why in a bit, but we've got some incredible gifts come over recently, and it's only right to get that bit done and dusted, and to thank you very much. As you can
You're
see,
welcome.
A new addition.
A
new addition to the fleet, and the Mountainboard Museum as such will be going on tour at the next year at the UK Champs, and possibly a slightly smaller version heading out to the World Champs in France as well. Whatever I can get in the back of my van, basically.
Nice.
So, yeah, thank you for that great.
Thanks, guys. I'm so stoked for it. The t-shirt blew me away so much. Oh, you got it on, Dan?
There you go.
Who is that handsome fella?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
great. We do realise that.
You're welcome.
That Dylan had a fair bit of involvement in that as well. So Dylan, as always, absolute bloody rip, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I suppose let's move on from the thanks, because I could sit here and do that for a while, because there's so many thanks to be given in terms of giving us mountain boarding, for fuck's sake. Excuse my French. A little bit excited then. But yeah, it would be an absolute honour if you guys would chat through a little bit about your history as brothers, and the inception of mountain boarding way back in the day. As we did have a brief little chat before, there is plenty of stuff available on the MBS YouTube channel. There's History Channel segments on there and stuff like that. So, you know, if this whets your appetite, there's more available to go and check out as well. But yeah, tell us, guys, where in the world did you guys grow up together, and how did that sibling relationship develop into what became mountain boarding?
Go for it, Jay. Jay's in our hometown right now, so I think, yeah, he's the best one to take this one. Yeah,
that's a real easy, quick answer there. Let's see. Let's see. The way I remember it. So I was born in Denver, Colorado, and then my parents at some point moved to New Mexico, Raton, New Mexico. Our dad was an eye doctor, and our mom was a nurse. They were both in the Peace Corps together. Eventually, it didn't all work out for them, but they had us. And Joel was born in Raton, New Mexico. And I remember exactly when he came home because he had, they had him in the bed and he had some of the like baby formula, but this is back in the day. So like he had to heat it up like cream of wheat or something. And I remember I really wanted to eat it. It was so great having a little baby brother. Just eat that stuff. But and then then Joel, you do your version of this. Then we our parents got divorced, and Joel moved up to Colorado Springs with our mom and our sister, and I stayed in Raton, New Mexico with my dad for a couple of years until the 6th grade. And I remember, back then I definitely had a skateboard. It was like 76. Wait, 6, 7, 8, something like that.
Yeah.
78, 89. I saw the first skateboard I was talking about in a hardware store on Main Street in Raton, and that was the first skateboard I had. And but on the weekends, every other weekend, I would take the bus, the Greyhound bus. Which, if you tell people to take the bus these days, they'd be like, "That's pretty sketchy. I don't know if I'd do that." Or certainly send your 10-year-old kid on the bus alone, cross state line to. Anyway, looking back, that was pretty sketchy. But on the weekends, I go up to my mom's in Colorado Springs, where Joel was, and I remember, we had a great relationship. Like I was mentioning before, Joel's 6 years younger, so when I was in the 7th grade, he was in the 1st grade, so there's quite a bit of difference in age that point.
Yeah, I think that's one of the kind of, I don't know, one thing that worked really well for our relationship was that age gap, because it was like, for me, my perspective is, all my life, Jason's just a badass. Just completely, it's just big brother kind of like idol status, which, and I think that gap could have been like, okay, you're separated. But for us, I think it really worked because it was like, I think the hierarchy was really well established. Like if it's like twins or something like that, we always had this like healthy competition. We did things together, but it was like, I knew my place, kind of growing up. So it's like, I think that was really good. He's just always kind of, my idol, and wanting to push myself to kind of like be where he was. But yeah, which I think that was awesome. I think that was, that was nice. Through BMX, through skating, through everything. It was just like, I
suppose there's not that direct competition.
Totally. I think we talk to a lot of brothers, or I don't know if you guys have siblings or not, but and there's always been like I said, always competition, but it's like a really healthy, the whole time it's like a healthy, fun, just we're always pushing each other, but it's not, some of the other kind of sides of competition that gets there. But it's I think that really helped us. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, I have a brother who's 6 years older, I don't even know him. But I think because we had such common interests, I guess sport, BMX was huge, skating was huge. Those were kind of the two things. Snowboarding was huge because of those things. We had these kind of like common interests that really, I think that kept the relationship really strong.
And did you aspire to skate and snowboard like your brother then, as such?
Always.
Did you? How did I suppose you probably had your own skateboard, but when you first picked up your skateboard at 6 years younger, were you still into that, Jason?
We're totally, no, we kind of went through different eras of skating because of the generation gap. Like Jason was the 70s. He's kind of caught the tail end of the 70s skating. And then that kind of like died out, or at least in the US, it was kind of like, real gone for a little bit. And then I caught the very early end.
This shifted. It went underground kind of.
Yeah, went underground, and then I kind of like caught that wave and rode that through the 80s and 90s, and different era of skating. But yeah, obviously
Joel can ollie up a Joel can ollie up a curb, and I
I
can't.
can ollie.
That's
That's my claim to fame. My claim to fame on a skateboard. I can ollie.
That's it.
But yeah, kind of different eras. But yeah, definitely. I remember Jason's first skateboard and just like seeing that. And there was a guy over on like Curita or one of the, well, I don't forget the street that was next to us, but he was a skater, dude. I mean, in Jason's era,
Oh
and I just
yeah,
remember like the wheel. Can't
he
remember
had
that.
like
Remember some of the
he was
wheels, and
like,
he's like,
man, I
"Man,
got
you're
some
the
new
same." Yeah.
yeah, I got some new like orange orangutans maybe or something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe it was like some new orange kryptonics. What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What were we gonna say, Slugs?
Oh no, I was just saying the Kryptonics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cryptos.
Yeah.
And so that was huge. And then and I think this is kind of like relevant to mountain boarding, but we had that whole kind of like skate thing going, and then there was a whole BMX, the BMX currents were really strong for us. That was huge, racing BMX. Yeah, once again, Jason's just badass.
Right.
He's good, man. Fast. Lightning Lee. Did you guys know that?
Only because it was
that was Jason's nickname in BMX. Lightning Lee. I mean, you had it on your helmet and shit.
Yeah. No. Are you serious?
Yeah, I think you had it. It was written somewhere.
Yes.
I don't know if I believe that, but
anyway, that's what they called him at least. So yeah, we used to do like local competitions for the Hawk Shop. I remember the first like I had the shitty bike, this kind of like Team Murray one, and then I remember Jason gave me for my birthday his old Redline. I don't know if you guys know anything about BMX, but there's these bikes. Redline was kind of like the hot shit for BMX at the time.
Stu
and
Thompson
you got your Power Light, and I remember like coming home is like late at night. Our mom used to work 3 to 11, so she was nursing, so she's gone. It's like 10 o'clock, and I remember being up in your room, and we put the wheels on and shit, and I went around the top of the block ride, and it was like at that stage, that was definitely the best day. I was freaking out. I mean, it's the Christmas, like that was incredible. So yeah, the relevance, BMX and skate, both of those are really strong for us for sure. And you can see, in mountain boarding, you can see obviously a mix of those two, certainly with like the border cross side of things. A lot of that came from our BMX days.
And being that you guys obviously Denver and Colorado area, the snow's quite close to you, if not in town, every winter. So, I assume skiing and then possibly snowboarding would have kicked in around the early 80s as well for you guys.
Yeah, I remember my first snowboard. We were in high school, so it must have been like 84 or 85 or something. And same thing, like that hardware store with that skateboard back in the day. It was like a snowboard at this like heavy equipment rental shop. Like you can go like rent a backhoe and like a steamroller or whatever, but they had a snowboard in there. And me and my friend Mike Perea were like, we're gonna go snowboarding, and went up to Pikes Peak right there, 14,000 foot peak, not knowing how to do it. And oh man, that was so great. And then just, oh, we got it, and now we're going downhill. Oh, powder everywhere. This is great. And then not realizing like we're way down at the bottom of this valley, and we had to just like hike back up like 2 miles or no, maybe at least a mile, just post holing it the whole way. And that was our first real lesson of snowboarding. It's like, know where you're gonna end up, so you could.
Was that the Performer, the Burton Performer?
Yeah,
Elite?
that was.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, the Burton Performer.
They had like it even had a little fin, like a little metal, like super short, but like a little metal fin kind of down. Obviously swallowtail. Yeah, nice. Shitty bindings. Yeah, I remember going to visit Jason, and after that he moved down to a really cool part of Colorado called Durango, down in like southwest killer part of the state. but there's this great resort down there, or at least a time, Purgatory. And I remember I was like, man, I want to snowboard. I was like just in 7th grade. I was like, I want to snowboard. And Jason's thinking shit, it's like if I if he goes snowboarding, it's gonna be a shit day for us. I was like, no, I'm gonna be awesome, man. I'm gonna be awesome. But yeah. Oh shit, it was hard. But then day two is like, yeah. Once once I caught the bug of snowboarding, that's like for me that's there's kind of a hierarchy of sports, and I hate to put anything above mountain boarding, but damn, snowboarding, shit.
It's hard to
It is so freaking fun, man. I like, seriously though, a powder day. Oh, dude, I don't like to think about it anymore. Australia doesn't have enough powder days. but that's like, it's incredible. So that was huge. That was huge for both of us. Jason lived down in Durango, which is like I said, 20 minutes from Purgatory, some of the best snowboarding and skiing in the whole state, and Wolf Creek, and then I did heaps of snowboarding obviously from then. Once I caught that, that was kind of our main thing. But the snow melts.
Snow melts.
Dirt doesn't. Segueing into the mountain boarding side of things, that was Jason and Pat had this revelation, obviously, as history goes, that like, this is sick.
I was gonna say, as it relates, same thing, like it's hard to put anything about mountain boarding because it's so awesome for all kinds of reasons, but I would, like, on a really great ski day, and I'm actually, and whatever, I mean, I ski more than I really ever snowboard. Joel like picked up snowboard and never looked back. And I picked it up for a while, and I still can do it, of course, and do it. But something about just growing up skiing and growing up in Taos, New Mexico, I just kind of like, that was the ultimate, feel, the carve, the steeps, the bumps. And man, that's probably the ultimate, like Joel said, the ultimate day.
Yeah. Powder day on anything. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Amazing. You guys both snowboard, I take it, right?
I put about 8 seasons into France, and a good 3 or 4 living year all year round from around 2000, mid 2000s. I'd have to say, I can't remember.
Nice.
2004 to 5 to around 2012 with a fantastic company called Pleasure Holidays in Courchevel. They actually sponsored the Mountainboard season, the Mountainboard national championships in the UK for many years.
Nice.
It was, I think, one of the prizes for first place was like a free holiday every year. But they also offer mountainboarding holidays in the Alps in the summertime.
That's awesome.
It really was. I mean, they even had their own little fleet of boards with brakes, alpine brakes on. Some no snow, some MBS. It was joyous. It was joyous. Unfortunately, it was the summer season was never as big as the winter, obviously. But there are far more skiers and snowboarders out there than there are mountain boarders, unfortunately.
Today there are, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 500-year plan, actually.
500-year plan.
Yeah, 500-year plan, dude. We've been planning this whole climate change thing for a long time, dude. This is all,
It's been a lot of work.
Sorry,
really,
guys, we're ruining the planet, but in 500 years, mountainboarding is going to be huge, and that's been our kind of like subversive mission. Anyway,
new slogan.
So how did then what do you guys regard as that? When did that light bulb moment happen between yourselves and was Pat in with you as your crew at that time? And
so that was Jay and Pat, actually. For true origin, Jay had moved out to San Fran at that stage. met Pat, I was still back in Colorado. But yeah, Jay can take the origin story, because that that brainchild came from those two.
Yeah, there's not much snow in San Fran.
No. I mean, they
Yeah,
actually,
they got some decent.
yeah. I mean,
know.
a couple hours away, yeah, you got
Yeah.
good stuff too. But well, I'd go back just a bit because like people ask, oh, what's the origin, or how did you, like get involved with it, or what was that light bulb moment or whatever. And to me, actually, it was like Joel mentioned, growing up, children in a way of mountain boarding. But when I was at college in Durango, I mean, I would skate around a lot of the campus, and like by 70 millimeter wheels and the bigger, pool kind of deck, Mickey Alba deck or something. And I just remember, I was like, man, you can skate pretty much anywhere. I can go, across this dirt road as long as it's, relatively packed, and you can go through some grass if you're going fast enough, or if it's hard enough or whatever. So at that point, I was just like, man, this is like, you can go more off-road than I thought with a skateboard, of course. I mean, people were doing all kinds of crazy stuff before that, I'm sure, but that's kind of what I do remember, having that feeling, and then I graduated, moved out to California, try to get a job and learn how to surf. Being from Colorado, I was definitely wanted to try surfing and had a blast doing that. But so I was working near San Francisco, met it's actually I don't know if I got a pretty good story of meeting him, but I don't know. It's not I don't know. I don't want to condone any drugs or anything like that. So, but anyway, suffice it to say, well, it's kind of a weird old thing. But anyway, we met. He was doing like wind skating at the time. Like, he approached me and he was like, hey, can you make a banner for this trade show he was doing up in Northern Cal? He was doing rollerblades with a big sail, like it's called a wind skate sail, and it's like a land sail essentially, and that was really cool. And I was like, wow, that's neat. So we became friends, and I started doing that, and that was really fun. And we started going snowboarding together because we both liked snowboarding, and just kind of brainstorming, like how can we continue this on. We both, he didn't really skate as much, but he loved snowboarding, and he rode bikes and whatever. We're like, how can we do something like that? And at the time, he had, the Mort Heilig, so like a Land Cruiser. I mean, it was essentially, an off-road, skateboard, essentially early mountain board with pneumatic wheels, different channel type trucks, and it was set up sailing on, just for the most part going straight, sailing on it. And we're like, between this, the skateboard, BMX, and snowboarding, there's got to be a version of this that like could really do something serious for snowboarders who wanted to keep doing it in the summer, or skateboarders that want to just skate more places or go off road. And that's really the genesis for us, out there. And we're both kind of entrepreneurs, and I did graphics and he did sales. And I moved back to Colorado Springs and had like a graphic design business. And I was like, dude, kept calling him, like, we should do this. This would be great. We could call it like mountain boarding or something like that. Or I was like, future boarding, brainstorming just what is this thing, And I was like, you should just move out here. And he had a job with a newspaper sale, so he could easily transfer. He came out here, and we just kind of continued it at that point, together. So that's how. And then once we started making the first prototypes and stuff, that's when Joel came into the picture. Really, Joel could skate. Joel could skate really good. He could snowboard really good. Like, check these out, Joel. Let's take some pictures. You jump on the BMX jumps on these things.
Yeah. What year are we talking here?
90.
91, 92 is when it was coming together. 93 is kind of when we first started actually really doing and making things. Mm-hmm. Like this board. This board.
Yes. Oh my God.
Matrix 0.0
Man.
with the handle,
That's so
handy.
cool to see that shit.
Early bindings. Just like something to prevent
Push up
your
against.
foot from like vibrating
totally.
off the
Yeah.
deck,
That's all it was.
Stopper.
Yep. 8-inch truck or like really narrow trucks. Then the next one, so just show you this really quick, and we get back to that. But then the next version of the bindings kind of was just hold you off the end, but you can get your foot underneath it.
Yeah.
And it was actually, even on that model there, it was like, it was still just holding you off the end. But I remember it was like, and because it was all about carving. We didn't jump, we didn't do anything. But I remember like my foot occasionally kind of like slipped through that little gap. And I was like, oh shit, dude.
Oh, no.
I was like, I can jump this thing. And we used to ride the BMX track. I remember that hip at the BMX track. Oh my God. It's like one of my favorite jumps ever. It's kind of like coming down the first straight, one roller, and it had this kind of like step up. And then off to the side of that, was just a little kind of drop off hip. And it was like, man, God, I used to hit that like just all
over and over
long, man, over and over. Jason, like, obviously
like, do it again if you want. I'll take a picture. Do it again. Awesome.
But that was it. So our feet kind of slipped through, and then it was like, it started hitting the wheel. So then we started rotating those bindings in, then we're like, then if we kind of curve it, then it kind of comes across. And you guys probably remember some of the old
like the first like ergo bar.
Yeah.
The ergo bar bindings.
Thicker, they work. And I remember, Joel, even on these older ones, I remember Whitney Lewis, when he came into the picture, there's a guy is crazy. Like, we're making these things at my works warehouse, like at night, kind of like he knew I was doing this, but kind of not. And we had like, 30 boards stacked over here or whatever when we started making them. And this guy shows up to the back door, goatee, kind of looks like maybe Satan, if you
big ass white zombie tattoo, like get on his back. He's a badass dude, man.
And really nice though, very, very sweet guy. And he was like, he basically showed up at the back door. He's like, I want to work for you guys. I want to work for you. You don't have to pay me. I just want to work for you guys. And but the reason why I bring it him up, other than he was an amazing part of the whole story, is that he would like use these original bindings without being the ergo bars, just like barely anything. And I remember him riding and like him just jumping more with it, just like being more aggressive, like forcing his feet out and just like, he's like, nah, you could do this, just do this, I can just push out, you can jump. And then we started evolving the bindings where it was actually better ergonomically, of course, in retrospect, it was like, what the hell? Why don't we start I guess further along, but
for us at that stage, once you went to the ergo bars, you've invented that locking system. Then once you have up against the post,
totally. Because and also for us at that stage, it was like it was a lot of flatland stuff, street. So we had to push. Like that was such a big part of it. So and we used to push Mongo, and so like kind of having the space there on the deck that you could like you'd be able to push and then slip in and then slip out. That was huge.
I'm glad we're onto this because right. So this is a board that I picked up over the summer, and this is the front binding.
I
don't know, were these sold with bindings in position? Because I ride regular, and if you look at the bottom one, it's at a much steeper angle than the top. I was wondering, was that sold as a directional board?
It wasn't. We never made. We mustn't have drilled those ones with that because we never drilled anything other than a symmetric. For what I can remember.
My other one's symmetrical. But
does that one? Is there not extra holes? Is there not extra holes in that?
No, completely not. But it makes sense.
You got a one of a kind.
As a regular rider, because I can lock in so much easier on the front one, and it gives the back foot the ease of being able to get out and push.
Yeah.
Super easy as well. It's cracking. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. And another sort of like bit on there. Why or how did you come to go with the matrix truck, the channel truck, as opposed to what was currently on offer with skate
Right,
stuff?
right. Yeah. Well, actually, okay. So I think the reason is because that design is not anything really new. The channel, system around the axis pivot point, right? That was out there. But the reason why we kind of went with that is that when we were first starting to make boards, I was married, and my wife's dad was a sheet metal worker, and in his shop, he had a brake system and had just stuff to, hey, let's cut out this piece of metal, let's bend it up in a channel, let's drill through it, whatever. I mean, it was just he could make some of the first prototypes, and I think that's really what the system works, and it was that resource was there to make the first ones. And I mean, it never really crossed my mind to use a skateboard truck or extend the axles on a skateboard truck or made a larger skateboard truck. Really, I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's I haven't really thought about that, but I think it's just resources. I think that's one cool thing. I mean, Jason specifically, but kind of entrepreneurial people in general, is like, you take whatever you got, dude. It's like, okay, shit, I got duct tape, I got a mug, and I want to go mountainboarding. And we didn't have a foundry, we didn't have access to a foundry that's going to cast trucks. And we weren't thinking like, okay, let's do a business plan and get in, like, it was more just like, shit, let's make some boards we can ride. Okay, we can bend this shit, we can pin that shit, we can weld, we can kind of do those things. So I think it was just, yeah, that's interesting, accessible. And also I think, I mean, I'm thankful for that, because there's so much kind of performance wise, especially at that stage, that, comes from a channel truck, of just that precision, which that's part of what we really kind of fell in love with the early prototypes, is just, we used to set them up obviously super duper loose, springs, no egg shocks, super inside. So it was just like, man, it just like carved like crazy. So I think, that necessity being the mother of invention, and also just like, it was so fun. And it really, to me, felt really different than, way different than skateboarding, because longboarding hadn't happened. So in terms of like the 70s style skateboard that Jason came from, obviously it was tons of carving, but by the time I got into it, it was more just like, it's trick, it's straight, carving was not really a thing. It was, street skating or, park starting. So this was this feeling where I think, we just fell in love with, because like, that is snowboarding, that was the snowboard, just like hard we wanted to carve.
You just hold into a carve on real nice, like clean pavement. It's just like
clean pavement. It was, that's the irony at the beginning is like, we did these things to kind of go off road, but man, rubber on road is like, it's like the powder. It's just smooth, and you can just, lean in so hard to those carves. So I think that was kind of like, the first several years,
like a freshly groomed run.
I
can totally sympathize with that mindset. It really is, and especially with the e-boards now, that we're riding, that there's so much more accessible via the roads, because you're not having to walk and stuff like that. But the feeling when you get like a fresh patch of tarmac and you're hammering along at 20 plus mile an hour, and it is exactly like groomers or it's incredible. I completely see that. I mean, the frame boards up at Bugs Boarding on their learner slope there is just an incredible feeling riding those along there, because because like you say, they are so quick edge to edge, because the springs are so close to that pivot point, and that they're old egg shocks. So I think I've got egg shocks in both those. but even so, it forces you to use the terrain and to come away from that fall line by carving and controlling it.
Totally, yeah. You
something
don't
that
want to point it. You don't want to point it on those.
Yeah, don't point it.
But it's really good for
Yeah.
beginners to learn,
Yeah.
how to do that. Because it all scales up when you experience as you get better and so on. It really does. But yeah, we see a fair few people trying to straight line the old style channel trucks back in the day, and they're good.
They will go once they go. Yeah, that harmonic oscillation. I remember it was like, it's cool when kind of like theory and practice come together, and this is kind of like related to the story. We got all this origin stuff, and then and I was in school at the time up in Boulder when they came back on kind of doing these things, and not only writing, but it's like, man, that's sweet. I was studying engineering at the time. It's like, oh wait, cool, man, I'm like learning about those things. But I remember learning one of the things, harmonic oscillation. It's like when a system starts to kind of like a frequency starts going, and it like builds on itself, and it happens in buildings and bridges and all this type of stuff. And that is a speed wall. And I remember learning about that, and it was around the time Dugan, everybody, I don't know if this is you guys, but everybody's kind of had their crash. This is a theory, something that we talk about together. But it's like, because we've seen so many people come into the sport and just gung-ho, and it's like, oh man, this is sick, and they're pushing themselves, and then and you just think like, how high can I? You don't even think, you're just pushing it and going, and then they have the crash that just like
you either quit or you survive, and you
or regroup and like a phoenix rebuild. But what we ended up calling that, we call that a Dugan, because I don't even know his first name. Was Kevin Dugan or something like that? He was kind of a guy that came in gung-ho, came up to Vail with all of us and was doing some things. And we were on this, it was a paved hill. We just done a demo, and he, kind of beginner dude on one of those boards, twin shock springs. He just hiked up way too far, man. And we're just like looking up there and kind of like, by the time we're saying, dude, don't do it, he's just pointing it, and we're like, oh dude, we're just like watching like, oh, this is it, dude, this is his one. And it's like, okay, the wobble starts, but then he got control over it, and in hindsight he should have just slammed there, because he was going fast, but like not too fast, but he recovered, right? And we're like, oh shit, he's recovered. And then he's just like mocking, and then another one, he recovers. And then by the end, I swear to God, for all of it, it was just like slow motion. He was wobbling across the whole damn thing, and he came down so on that last one, where it just goes and the board's gone, and he's flying through the air, and he no gloves, no helmet, no anything, man.
Nothing.
It was just all palms on pavement, dude. And just it was horrific. It was and he'd ridden his motorcycle up there. And anyway, it's just skin gone, everything. That was actually when we started wearing gloves and helmets at that stage. Seriously, that was like, it shook us. But yeah, Dugan, he wasn't one of the ones that kind of like rose like a phoenix. He was done. he never came back from that.
Got shoulder surgery and just got a regular job or regular sport.
But everybody, I think, has kind of had that fall of just like, you're pushing it, and then it just was like, oh shit, dude, you can actually get hurt.
I had mine just like 2 summers ago.
Oh no.
But, yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, I've definitely wrecked in my day, of course, but just like two months ago, we were riding up at Rampart, Joel, and through the trees and stuff, and I was gonna jump over something, and Devin was kind of over there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss him, but go through these trees, and I just went off to the left and just like slid and just slammed right into this tree, and a good sized tree, like a 2-foot diameter trunk, and just like hitting a brick wall and just kind of messed my leg up. But it was like the worst injury I've pretty much had mountain boarding, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Jay, that's one thing.
Scary, man.
Never really wrecked. I've taken the wrecking side of, man, I just slam all the time. I slam. It's just like part,
I'm probably just not pushing it as much as you were. You know
no,
what I mean?
I think it was just like Jay's got like serious natural ability, like not just mountain boarding stuff, but like, dude, ball sports. Give him a ball. He'll like juggle it, he'll throw it, do shit, he'll dribble it, man, he'll spiral a football. It's just like that kind of natural ability. Whereas, yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, I don't quite have that, but I want it. So the consequences, mini Dugans.
Joel had a theory, and maybe it was theory. He was like, "Yeah, I got a new workout regimen." It's like, what? It's like, when you slam, just like your body, your muscles just get broken down, and then like, they build back up. They build back up like muscles. It's like, so like if you slam a lot, you're just basically getting a good workout. It's like the slam workout.
Because we got to repair. Yeah. I mean, is that wrong?
How's that working out?
That would be right, wouldn't it?
How's that working out for you?
The Thai have been doing it for years with Muay Thai kickboxing, conditioning your muscles and your shin bones and that.
Yep.
There's a call for that. I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah. It's a theory. It's a theory. It's not.
It is a theory. I mean, Slugs, does it hurt you doing scorpions anymore? Because like you are absolute professional at them now, and it looks like you just bounce up.
Well, I'm like an elastic band now.
Oh, that hurts, man. Yeah, that does hurt. Yeah.
So let's jump back on your timeline there a little bit. So you've started producing these boards with Pat, and
frame boards we're at still, aren't we?
We're frame boarding and that now. And you've decided, you've made some boards for yourselves. You've started taking them out, riding them, learning about them, about your ability and how they are ridden. And I'm assuming at that early stage, your prototypes are probably making quite a lot of advancements quite quickly. But I'd say, like the board that I held up a minute ago is very much a production board, isn't it? You guys, I assume, have produced it yourselves, and are
I mean, that was like that's when we made that was kind of like when we made the jump from like, okay, we made them as well as we could, kind of in the garage, so to speak, literally in the garage, and whatever. And then we did make the jump. We started using, people that knew how to run a CNC, or people that really knew how to weld in Colorado Springs, just local job shops. Can you make this bracket? Can you turn this axle and weld this? And all those people are usually like, "What? You got drawings? You got drawings? Like CAD drawings and whatever." And although Joel was, in engineering and whatever, we just, we didn't have CAD drawings. We're like, well, no, I mean, here's a drawing. It's like 12 inches wide, and then this is 2 inches. But they're like, oh man, these, they're like, what a pain in the ass this job is going to be. And so we started, shopping, using like job shops, and eventually, we started using bigger ones, and they're able to just higher quality welds, or just better finishes. Like the Revolution series, 1996, we sold our first, what I consider like real production models into shops. And it's that board that you're talking about. It's like, oh, it's anodized aluminum, and it's, the welds are pretty nice. And that's kind of when we started shopping the production out more, at least those component parts. And I think that's when the product, jumped up a little bit in quality.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think?
And so what prompted the change then from the frame style board that you had there? I mean, I don't know which would have come first, and would it have been like the Soul 16 or the Razor, or did they come at the same time? What
Right.
you
Originally, it's
changed
called
from a
the
frame design to a rigid deck.
yeah the unibody. Yeah, the Grasshopper I think was kind of our first official kind of production one, but before that, I think the code name was the Orbiter. Did we sell any Orbiters? I don't know if we actually sold them or if we just kind of yeah,
Nice.
that was it. Yeah,
No, we
yeah, that
we made like 5 of them, I think.
yeah, yeah. I was listening to Don Baker's interview with you guys.
He
That
mentions
was
the
so
Orbiter.
God, dude, that was so awesome. Oh, sick, Jay.
Yeah. That was like
That's great.
we
But it
were
was
going to
so
go into production with that, but we changed it to the Grasshopper, I guess, at the last minute. I
yeah.
forgot what happened on that.
But
Sorry,
it was
Joel, you were
cool
talking
listening
about Don
to
Baker.
yeah, Don Baker. It was cool. Just it was such a great interview of just, and all your interviews have been so awesome because it's like it's a different perspective because you forget like okay, this is our perspective, but hearing somebody else say, I
Mm-hmm.
saw this like ad, in this thing, and hearing their like entry into this kind of like whole world of mountain boarding was just like God, it was so awesome. It was just that kind of different perspective, but yeah,
Oh,
the unibody thing I think was that
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 was a
that was
big
kind of a
game
big
changer.
push for me. It was like coming from skating, like, maybe kind of more from that side of things. And once we did start to jump, it was like, wait, what? This massive frame, like,
Yeah.
dude,
Why are
just
we launching with
I got this
these
skate deck.
big old
Just
frame?
we just cut the trucks, straight off an old frame board and just kind of mounted them onto a skate deck was kind of the first prototype. And it was like, because for me, it was like, I wanted to jump at that point. Once I got a taste of that hit at the Rampart BMX track, I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, dude, it was one of those turning points of like, okay, this is going, this is going in this direction. The whole kind of like freestyle side of things. It just kind of like saw the next, whatever it's been, 20 years.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, they were heavy. Frame boards were heavy. We needed to make them light and just look in every single place so we could kind of like get rid of weight. So that was the obvious one. And then obviously wanting to get a little bit of flex in there. So that was kind of the first few prototypes of that. And then, I see that the kind of obviously the switch from frame boards to what we call unibodies, where the frame and the deck are unified into one is what we kind of called it. That was definitely that was a big shift.
What was the original production run on the Grasshopper? So how many was the original run?
Remember, Jay?
Man, I'd just be guessing, but it's probably maybe 300.
really? So
I was going to say a couple.
it's still small at this time, really.
I mean, God, good question. That'd be great to find that out.
Yeah,
a couple hundred, I'm sure.
There's a couple hundred, something like that.
But maybe not thousands. I mean, yeah, because then what was the
we did several runs of the Grasshopper too. So it wasn't like we did one run and it was just over. The Grasshopper did production and changed a few things. And
were they US built then, the Grasshoppers? Were they built?
Yeah. 100%.
And you guys obviously changed to post and Velcro bindings.
That's right.
At that point as well, a massive increase again in board connection.
And that
was the go ahead.
No, go Jay. Yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna say that was the free flex. Well, that was pretty much when we came out with the free flex binding, which was essentially 2 posts connected by the nylon piece with batting, which in hindsight is like okay, wait, why didn't you start there? I guess, right? But
yeah, like anything. But the theory on that was, I mean, obviously the ergo bindings hurt. They hurt. The thing was like, we wanted a strap.
Hold on, helicopter.
Oh, nice. But the thing with the strap, obviously it's first we had some old windsurfing bindings, like, oh, sick, just kind of stick those on there. But the thing with that is when you would go, we still wanted to like jump out. And if you would try to, the strap folds down and traps your foot. So you go to kind of get out and your foot just gets bound in there. So that's kind of why we kept the the post, one for the locking
Yeah.
system. We
It's
wanted the
so
post to
good.
lock against for twisting
Yeah.
in, but also for coming out, having the strap up there, it could never kind of bind on your foot, so you could still like release. We were still kind of jumping off of boards at that stage, you know, when things got hairy. So it's just kind of, yeah, they're like really small, incremental, like logical steps. Like, okay, here we got this. Let's kind of solve that. Okay, that brings up another thing, and so yeah, interesting to see that. But I mean, those are good. Free flex.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, you know, being an
Still use
R&D
them.
guy, this is kind of like talking against my stuff. But from the grasshopper on, I mean, the grasshopper is pretty sick. Like, you could
Yeah.
go and do a lot of shit that you do today on a grasshopper. I mean, the
Yeah.
quad hopper, the twin shock one,
Yeah.
not so much. But once we kind of like, you know, spread the shocks out, added a little bit more stability, free flex on a grasshopper.
Yeah.
Done.
I think I may be right in thinking that there's probably some still in the fleet at Bugs Boarding, or at least not. Maybe grasshopper, or I'm sure there's a few crickets looking around up there as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's funny. The cricket was basically like Ian at Max Track is like, I think, what was the deal on that? It's like, we want something maybe over here, but it's not the grasshopper. I don't know if it was a name situation or something, or just like maybe something different, or maybe some different components.
It was a price point thing too. They kind of like, oh, we need this, you know, that's great, but you know, it's too expensive. So we're like, okay, let's, you know, do this, that, and the other, and kind of tweaked a few things. But yeah,
well, cricket,
the cricket, like a little brother.
They're a good board for kids.
They were really good.
Yeah, it's and it's interesting, you say, because it's something that the UK, well, around the world really, are valiantly trying to do, is to try and get more youth back into the sport. You know, the decent youth boards don't actually hang about on eBay or, you know, any marketplace sites very long these days.
Nice.
They get snaffled up. But the likes of LA Mountain Board Centre in France is, you know, kids clubs running through there, and it's fantastic to see. And Bugs Boarding has a great youth scene starting up again.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
we're loving what's just what we're seeing out of Europe is so cool. Yeah. Yeah, that LA, the one in France, just that looks so sick. Have you guys been over there?
No, not yet.
Next year.
Yeah, we're there for the champs next year.
Oh yeah, with your mountain board museum, your mobile mountain board museum.
Oh, nice. Yeah, is that right? That's cool.
Well, we're hitting LA up either before the competition at Compiègne.
Okay,
in the mountains, or after. Not sure exactly which way around yet. But yeah, very much looking forward to that. Very much. Fancy it, either of you guys?
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. Let's pencil that in as a solid maybe.
Yeah, I like your commitment there. I was going to say last time we spoke, Jason, who I'm addressing, was well, obviously the other day on the phone, but before that was sat around a campsite in a campfire in 2003 at the Quantox.
Oh, really? Oh man! Oh my god! And wait, was that that was like the mud sesh, right?
That's the one.
Cool. Oh man.
But yeah, I think I have memories of I think
it's fun.
I'm pretty sure Jeremy Leaf was there. But I don't recall seeing him in many of the photos. Did he go to that? I'm just imagining that.
Sayer, Dave Sansoni, Leon. I think awesome. Jeremy was there, but I'm not. Yeah. Man, that was so. I got a lot to say on that event, or just that trip. You know, it's so fun.
Well, go for it. I mean, if there's any particular. memories.
Well, okay. So here's my recollection of that event. One, I mean, okay, so we show up to England, and I'm with Dave Sansoni, who he's obviously a legend and holds a very strong place in mountain board history and development, at least on our side, and with MBS, and cool guy, great rider. Just like he basically was like rails. Okay, wait, I mean, he was the one just like board slide. Let's just try to board slide this, whatever.
Yeah.
More so than anybody and he was in Colorado Springs, so it was easy to ride with him a lot. But anyway, we land at the airport. This techno's playing. He's like, dude, I guess it's techno from here on out. Like we're just like, oh my God. I mean, nothing against, I love electronic music, but it was just like hilarious. Like that set the scene of like, we got to the airport, going to techno. All right, cool. And we show up at, that's not a slight by any means. It was a vivid memory of Dave, like commenting on like the music in the taxi or whatever was happening. It was just hilarious. That event in general is like, okay, I get it why in the UK and Europe as well, they use snowboard bindings, or they're strapped in, like you were strapped in, like no snow stuff. Because it's like, it rains more over there. It's muddier over there in the situation. I mean, I'm hypothesizing, but the Quantox was a great example of that. It's like, we have no straps, normal, by the first run down the border cross, the grip tape's all caked, we're just barely holding on to our bindings, and we're like, look over at, people riding the no snow or something, like, whoa, wait, hold on a sec. This isn't fair. They're like strapped in, so funny. It was great. And that was a great race.
But you must have anticipated that at the time, because that would have been around the time that your pro model come out. And indeed, I'm pretty sure the old green Comp 16s had snowboard holes for that.
That came from that, definitely from you guys over there. Yeah, the UK is like, shit, yeah, snowboard bindings, we want that as an option. So that's right after that's when we built that 4-hole pattern in there. And then we had like the multi-flex that you could have. Okay, you could do like a free flex type of thing, but you could also
rotate it.
Snowboard setup. Yeah, we sold the Deuce. It's called the Deuce bindings, just snowboard bindings. I don't know if you guys kind of saw any of those, but that's basically the snowboard bindings without the high back. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, we sold those as a production binding for a bit. So, but it's funny it took us so long. In the US, it's still even riding without heel straps. I mean, it's a real majority of people don't ride without heel straps.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't.
For me, it's like, God, finally, when I put heel straps on, it's like liberated me. I mean, I like both. I mean, but God, it just changed everything. It's like, oh wow, this actually is a snowboard. Or just the feeling of like, oh, you don't have to worry about. Like I said, I do like the advantages of getting in and out, but it's once you're like fully locked in, it's all about commitment, boys. I don't know if you guys are married, but you got to commit, dude.
Like
and there's a lot that comes from there's consequences. Okay, you go down hard. When you go down, there's consequences. But in general, commitment, in my theory, is a good thing. Commit to the board. Commit to life.
Really great analogy, Joel. That really is. That's awesome. I mean, still to me, like when I ride with the heel straps, part of me is like, this is fucking great. I mean, I have more control and I am not, slightly at all gonna come out or shift in my bindings. But I don't know, just didn't. I don't know why I just don't do it. I guess it's probably I'm a little bit lazy too. I'm lazy. It's like I don't want to like mess with like, oh, you got strap and do this. And I know it's easy, obviously, but I can't commit. That's been my problem. Mountainboarding and relationships.
He's working through it.
Definitely, without the heel straps, it definitely makes. There are a couple of techniques, free ride techniques, that are made a lot harder without having heel straps in. Like if you're I don't know what you'd call the terminology. I'm sure Matt Brind will be screaming at his screen right now with the terminology. But like if you're skitching the back end out
Bumpy.
like front side, then that's fine without hill bindings. But if you're pivoting on your front wheels and putting the back wheels out on your hill side, it becomes easier, even with a lock and a twist, or that it can just shift your feet a little bit out of the comfort zone or that comfortable position where you feel locked in. But if you get to any flat spots on your descent of any climb, and you want to be without those heel straps at that moment, don't you?
And there's no, I have massive respect for people. Like we rode with Mason. It was cool. I got to go back to the US a couple months ago in August, which is just awesome, and ride with Jason. Dylan came over. Total highlight trip. It's been so long since I've been back. Absolutely awesome. Yeah. But anyway, went to Utah, rode Moab, and but after that went to Salt Lake and was riding with Mason. And I don't know how he does it. He's crazy. Flip, spin,
he's awesome.
I mean, whatever, like, double crazy road, just gnarly cork 9 weird stuff. No heel straps. Fully, and he hasn't been close. But for me, there's a certain, that's my main thing, is just spinning backside. My back foot wants to come out, and you can kind of compensate, and there's ways, but I just feel like as soon as you go, it's just like, having heel straps at that stage, just, I don't have to think about my board. You can just think about
riding. That's why I don't spin backside.
Jay's in front, definitely.
And I think part of it is like a product of the environment too. In a way, it's like Devin Garland, as a good example, rides at skate parks a lot because Denver, tons of skate parks, just good skater too, and just like push speed into these flat spots to get that first pump, to hit that first hip and whatever, and just in and out, and it's just like, but it's just different style.
Yeah, for sure.
I forget where we sort of are now on your timeline.
We got to the unibody. We kind of touched on the unibody.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So you've created these now ply laminated decks and unibodies there. You've now got a new post binding system, and the addition of brakes and things like that have started to show up on your boards. And that's all great. I'm assuming that sales are picking up. The scene seems to be rolling along there. And I'm going to ask a viewer question here at this point. Because I think it's going to be around about this time in your timeline. And this viewer question comes in from Chris Seymour. He's been a no snow rider for many, many years. And he asks, when and how did you learn of no snow? So I'm assuming around this point, you guys are in production in your own. I think No Snow sort of says, I think they started around 92, 93 as well. But I'm assuming that there must have been word. Outback also were another company from Australia.
Outback was the first.
We definitely knew about them before No Snow.
Right.
Yeah, I think we found out late. It wasn't until it was like those days, like when Jason went over and Max Track
to England, like the first, when we started working with Max Track and doing anything over there. I guess that's when we learned about it too. So and it was a cool, very nice. 90s. Simple design, just a urethane. They had obviously their own take. Is it what do they call the truck system? It's like a hybrid.
Twin kingpin or dual kingpin.
It's cool. I love the simplicity of it too, and also being over in England, the Quantocks, and just like the real big descents, because running with 9-inch tires or 10-inch tires. We never really did that at all. It was just all 8, trying to keep the weight down. But but just able to do that big free ride stuff and, bigger rocky stuff or just softer stuff, and you're locked in. More motocross style or more like downhill mountain bike kind of style of riding.
Yeah.
Although freestyle ability as well. I remember, what was his name? Joe. Joe.
The Tatum dude. Oh no,
Joe Inglis.
Joe. Oh yeah, right. Joe Inglis.
Yeah,
I think his name was Joe. And Pete.
Pete
Tatum.
Tatum.
He's the
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, God, man, those guys were awesome. I remember when we were over there, we went to their place or Pete's place and had a beer or something and hung out with them for a bit. I think it was that. Maybe that was that trip. But those guys were cool. But it just seemed more like a downhill vibe where you're locked in, get bigger tires, you got the helmet, full face helmet, and you're charging. And anyway, I guess when I went over to England, that's probably the first time I knew about no snow.
Yeah, I think it's to me it's really cool. This is a real like pre-internet thing versus a post-internet thing, because like it's cool for me with mountain boarding kind of like bridges that gap, but it was very much a pre-internet thing where all these these streams of kind of like mountain boarding concepts were flowing independently of each other, and you have no idea because you don't have the internet, you don't know what's going on in England, but definitely Outback was right there from the beginning for sure. So stuff happening in Australia, we had our stuff. No snow, happened at the same time, but it was several years before it's like, oh shit, these guys are doing something that's really new, and they're like, oh no, wait, you guys are new because we've been doing this.
You're all running parallel. You're all running parallel, just with no idea what your designs are.
Happen. And that doesn't happen today.
No.
Today it's like, oh, bam, you internet search, bam. Oh shit, there's like anything that you can think of now. I got this new idea. You just go and Google it. It's like, oh, okay. So do 1,000 other people in other parts of the world. It's like, oh, that idea is not new. No idea is new.
Tell you a quick story. It's kind of related to this, but I remember when Joel and I and Pat and the crew went out to Long Beach, California for our first trade show. Like, we're serious now. We're going out to California for the Action Sports Retailer Show, 1996, I believe. And like, we're going to get like real orders from real, retailers and stuff, which we did, which was amazing, right? But we're setting up at the trade show, and I work at a trade show kind of place in graphics, so our place looked good. We had a TV, and it was cool looking, and like we're all set up, and it's like the night before the event, and Joel comes into the hotel room or something, and he was like the last person at the booth. He was like, dude, I can't believe it. We're not the first. There's another company here. Dude, you should see their booth. It's amazing. And their shit is, oh my God. I was like, no way, dude. I mean, that was our whole goal, is to like be the only mountain board company at this trade show at least, and kind of the first over there to be really serious about it. And he's like, yeah, man, they're just so cool. I was like, what's their name? Oh my God, like my dreams crushed, kind of, And he's like, I think he was like thinking about it. Like, he didn't know what he was going to say because it was all a joke.
I just said the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, he's like, Dirt Star. Dirt Star. I was like, Dirt Star?
Yeah, they're badass.
I can't believe it. What a cool, oh my God. And he was like, nah, just kidding. We're the only people there.
No Dirt Star. No Dirt Star. But then actually, company. I can't remember the first one, but I remember seeing Outback for the first time and like, oh shit, they're, they got a production thing. I don't know if that was the next year or whatever, but it was like, yeah, they were happening. Yeah, my no snow experience was similar to Jason's, but I think a year or two later, I went over just for a quick trip. It was actually just like a family trip. My wife has some family in London, so it's like, okay, we'll go over and visit, but obviously went to hang out with Max Track dudes, and they're like, oh yeah, no snow guys had something, or they're setting up for some race, or I can't remember what was going on, but went and rode with them, and it was like, dude, just blew me away. They were so badass, and so I felt like at that stage I was like, oh yeah, I'm a good rider, and then after riding with them, And same thing, muddy. It took one run, and my feet just would not stay anywhere. And they were just bombing, like bombing, such high speed, gnarly.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was really humbling, actually. I was kind of like, maybe more ego at that time or whatever, but it was like, shit, dude, I was fully humbled by those guys. They were badass, and also kind of like, just board wise, like, saw the advantage of being locked in, and it was really cool.
Oh, they definitely send. The Statham's definitely send. They we had the pleasure of dragging Pete out of retirement for a little bit earlier on this last summer, just gone, and he still
sends it.
Oh yeah, absolutely rips on it.
Tell him hello.
Oh, yeah, definitely shall do. Definitely shall. Well, you potentially have just done so yourself.
Hey, all right.
I've just realised that I have overlooked a question that goes early on in
Get it in there now.
And it's kind of specific to a very specific moment, and I'm hopeful that you can remember it. But it comes in from Benton Jackson, Mapleton, online there. What did the first ever ride of a mountain board of your creation feel like? I suppose asking, can you describe that moment? Was it as good as as good as you hoped it would be?
That's funny. Huh. That's kind of a weird, tricky question. In a way, it's like, not tricky. Thanks for the question, Ben. It's very insightful.
We love you, Ben.
Well, I mean, actually, for me, it was just, I guess, looking back, I remember one carve in particular. It's crazy. Prototype board. I was in California. Maybe I was back just to visit or something. I remember had the board making the first turn, and it was something really mundane, like, I'm just gonna carve around this sidewalk, and you got this couple whatever trees over here and there, and I was visually really looking down and seeing the board turn and just feeling that grip of that carve. That really was the first, like, just memory of like, this thing is different and it's cool, and it just stands out. It's real mundane little kind of carve, but yeah, that was it for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's a hard question to answer because it's kind of on a continuum. It's not like, I think it'd be different if like, okay, it'd be such a good question to ask, like, all different people coming in, like, because say you buy a mountain board, bam, and this is your first one and you take a run, but because it was such a continuum of, okay, this and experiment, and, for me, I feel like there almost wasn't a first, but there are those memorable ones. And for me, it was when I went out to visit Jay and Pat, and they, had just kind of been doing first prototypes. And I think, we had done enough that we had three, one for each of us, and riding after the dead shows out at Shoreline. And so that show ends, people everywhere, just a total vibe outside. And I remember just like carving through people, it was like, riding trees on a snowboard, where it's just that there's that magic spacing where it's like, it's intense because you can't fuck up, but it's enough, it just brings you perfectly into the moment, because you got to be precise, but the gaps open up, as soon as you think, oh shit, dude, where am I going to go? And then you just see, it's like, oh, duck, and then it fucking opens up. And it was that experience, on a mountain board of just cruising through people and a real vibe. And to me, that was the thing that was like, that hooked me. That was mountain boarding. That was mountain boarding for me, of like the real kind of first special moment. And then the gradual things are, then jumping at the Rampart BMX track. That was another just like magic moment. And I think the magic, I think Benton kind of said, what did it, feel like? But to me, it was the feeling, but it was also, I think it was also that kind of like the opportunity or of kind of like feeling this birth of something. I'm seeing like, oh shit, this has a future, you know,
Yeah.
this is a thing, you know, this is like,
This
that
is
was
real.
really special. Not just the connection of like, oh, it feels good to snowboard, but it's like, you know, of riding, you know, not only the literal kind of like pavement wave, but this wave of something that was like, you know, starting.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
I suppose, you know, for everybody else, you know, No Snow, Outback, or the other producers of boards and such along the route, they've had, as you say, that sort of gradual progressions. But it's not like a yesterday I didn't have a mountain board and today I do have a mountain board, like it is for 99% of other people in the community. So I guess that is a lot harder for you guys to answer.
Well, certainly the first memorable experience probably was two things. One, carving the streets of San Francisco with Pat. You know, that was a real level up kind of whole situation. And carving out of Moab with Joel.
Moab.
You know, the first time on rock, smooth rock, and just those.
But I agree. Yeah, I agree. Moab was like there's been kind of like little, you know, milestones along the way, but that was life changing. I mean, truly, it was like, that was amazing.
At the risk, we've sort of some of these questions are quite close to each other in terms of wording. That they're not, but they are kind of close, and we've sort of almost come on to another territory here. Again, it's off of the timeline, so we need to come back to the timeline in a minute, because obviously then we're going to move over to a different type of construction on the unibody, and we do want to chat about that. But I'm going to go over to a video for this one. One has come in from Mr. Matt Brind.
All right.
And let me check on
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Just a beginner rider out there, I guess.
You're a French rider?
Up and coming.
Some little grom.
Here we go. I hope you guys can hear this and see this properly.
Good morning. Well, at least it is for me, so I'm sticking with it. Good morning, everybody. Vlogged, Dan. All right. Joel and Jason, the makers. Hello, we are not worthy. Before I go into questions, though, there is the mandatory gushingness that needs to come out. So to both you guys, thank you for making a sport that's given so much to so many people, especially myself. You know, direction, fulfillment, all of those words and feelings and meanings. So thank you so much, and for all the inspiration in the early years and all that good stuff. Moving on to questions before I get too embarrassed.
That's very nice.
I've got a couple, so hopefully that's okay. As someone with a brother who mountain boards as well, I was wondering, Joel, what's your favorite aspect of Jason's riding? Jason, what's your favorite aspect of Joel's riding? And then I'm interested to hear what your favorite experience with each other is within mountain boarding. So whether that's doing a show, maybe doing some lessons somewhere, or designing parts, going to a competition or a trip. What's the favorite thing you guys have done together? Cheers. Hope to get over to the US next year and ride with you guys, and then over to Oz, of course, sometime to ride with you as well, Joel. Peace.
Nice.
Cool.
Yay, that's great.
Man, that guy's great. Wow.
He's a good egg.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's so awesome they got the brother. I let me say, I love obviously I love my brother, but just the brother connection is really cool. Like the Bren brothers, you know, and you know, No Snow guys and all that. I think it's really it's interesting. It'd be cool to just do a whole thing on that, you know, just outside of mountainboarding, whatever. But it's really
Kirkman brothers, holy shit.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
Leon and Austin Robbins.
That's it. The Wanklins,
The Wanklins as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I'm like Bren. I feel honored. I obviously love riding with Jay. So the two questions are favorite aspect of the other brothers riding, and then a favorite memory.
That's cool.
Well, if it's all right, yeah, I'll start. I'm just off the cuff. I mean, yeah, like I said, Jason's badass. I mean, he's is truly just so you're good and precise and just like racing. You're fast, and it's always just I've always watched it. And it's just like you just don't make mistakes. I think that's one thing, and maybe it's because it contrasts with my style of riding. It's just like fuck it, I don't think things through and I'll just drop and there's consequences. And whereas Jason has just always seemed to me just so, and I don't know how you do it, visualize or whatever, but he was just always good and winning and kind of like something that like I aspired to in terms of my riding and style and style wise. I love your front threes. It's just sick. Just floaty and big, and it's just. I mean, it's kind of like a classic. That's your classic. I'd say that's your classic move there. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to articulate, but yeah, you're a badass.
Thanks, Joel.
And then memory. God, well, I mean, just Moab. That's. I mean, there's so many memories. It's hard to kind of pick one out, and I kind of touched on a few. But that first Moab trip really was like life changing, and just not. I mean, mainly the mountain boarding, but just beyond that of just kind of being out there, Pat, Jay, that was really special. And then kind of that was like the origin one, and then bookending it with this last trip with Jason and Benton and Dylan out at Moab it was just great. It was so good. It was like it's different. We haven't seen each other in a long time, and it's been like I don't know several 3 or 4 years in COVID and all that type of stuff, and also it's like things get hectic and it's life and it's like family and kind of doing stuff and and especially like we used to ride together all the time, but now it's like it's work and we're doing and we're talking. It's like so we interact, but it's like job stuff or family. But that was the first time it was like okay, 5 days road trip, Dylan, Benton, Jason, myself, and it was just like it was just the sickest road trip, and just being out there in Moab camping and seeing the new spots that Jason and Benton had explored was another one of those. Like I said, it's like I was saying with snowboarding, it's like snowboarding trees, and you're coming to a point that's like, oh shit, where do I go? And then you come through that pocket, and it's moments like that in life as well. It's like, oh shit, things seem kind of stale or whatever. Or you're in a situation, then you kind of come through that pocket, and that was like walking out onto the monkey's paw that Jason and Benton had scouted out at Moab. When we got to that top and looked out, it was like it was just coming through that pocket of trees, and it's just all that opportunity. So that. Yeah, booking it with the first Moab trip and our latest Moab trip to me are the two special ones.
Yeah, well, that's you speak really well about that. You guys are all really eloquent. I feel like I have a hard time articulating what I'm like around the campfire. It's funny, but I mean, definitely Moab with Joel the first time and with Joel the last time and the times in between. The place is special, and having him out there is, makes it obviously even better. And actually, I don't know if it's the first time we went to Moab, Joel, or the second time, but you were like in Alaska with Charlie and Jackie, and I was in Colorado, and we're like, hey, we're gonna meet in Moab to ride, and so but you got to drive like literally like 3 days for the solstice 3 days in a row to get there, and then I still had to drive 6 hours to get there, and we just ended up like meeting up literally like at the same time. Like you're just rolling in, I'm just rolling in, and that was just such a great time. And also just meeting up, it's just, and then, like I said, bookending it with that last trip was just great because it was a road trip. It was like, we're not working, we're stressed about the work side of it anyway. And it's like, okay, we're going 5 days, and it's like, okay, we're using my car, throwing everything in there, get all Dylan stuff in there. And it's like, once we left, Colorado Springs and started heading south to go to the first spot. It's like, wow, all right, this brought me back to the days of real. I mean, granted, I've done a lot of road trips and stuff and mountain boarding, but it was great because it was like doing it again. Haven't done it in a while. Really special. Some new spots. Trying to find some old spots and ride them again, and just you never know what's going to happen on a trip like that. You might break down, you might go a different way, or you might see this time and you didn't last time, and something magical about the road trip in general. And the last one was no exception. It was as cool. As far as like riding aspect, I mean, Joel has really great style, and it's hard to like quantify it or really explain it to me, but it's kind of summed up to me in my mind, like some of the early photos of Joel riding. Those are so ingrained upon me, with Joel as the identity mountain boarder, and with MBS, and just like the picture of you like coming down Pikes Peak with the Domino's pizza jacket. It's just like such a visual memory. It's just like so hardcore. Like that's Joel. That's his style. He was a skater, like true skater. He can ollie up a curb and other things, and just brought that skate style and that skate sensibility to riding, which I didn't have as much, certainly. And just body position, body style. It's just real stylish. Joel's a very stylish rider, all around great rider, and got good endurance. Nice. And race as well. I mean, shit, it's just funny, just that whole style aspect in general for you. Or you think about people in your mind, like, they might not have been the best rider. I'm not talking about you, but their style of riding was just like so cool to watch. It's just the carving, even it's a cool element.
No, that's awesome.
But yeah. Thanks, yeah, Joel brought that skate style to it, and I appreciate that for sure.
Nice. I think we are back on track there with the viewer questions there. I'll try and do my best to keep those coming in at the right moments. But yeah, okay. If we're back onto the sort of original timeline now, we're into a changeover in deck design here. You've gone from the wooden skate style laminate decks through to now putting out the first of the razor. Razor and blade came out. How did that happen? What was the reasoning and behind changing over to that style of production, and how did that come about?
Joel, you probably got more on this.
I was gonna say, actually, that was really, you drove that section, really? To be honest. I mean, well, I mean, it was kind of like, we take all these things, like say you got BMX stuff, you got skate, and you got snowboarding, and the sport itself is a combination of all those things, but the construction is influenced by all those as well. So we kind of started off very much bike, frames, welding, chromoly, that type of stuff. And then we said, oh, let's take a bit of skateboarding because we can get the thing lighter, and let's, horizontal lam, just kind of skate deck technology. So that was great, and it was a good thing. And then it was kind of like looking to snowboarding, what are you going to contribute? And it's like composites. And same thing. I mean, by that stage, I was kind of like, out of engineering school, but I really had fallen in love with composites and just how amazing they are. And, for everything, just shapeable and strength to weight ratio. So that was definitely, it was the obvious next step. Let's borrow from snowboarding and do like a fully composite deck. But Jason's actually the one that, so we had started that. And then actually I'd kind of come out to Australia for a few years with Charlie, or about a year, so kind of like a little kind of hiatus type of thing. And that was really when you started working with compression to kind of put those guys into production. And then for the end of it, by the time they're kind of like launching, I was back. But you established that relationship with
Okay,
those
yeah,
guys
yeah, yeah.
first,
Well,
but-
you went to up to Seattle and like had that crazy weird night with one of the people like sales reps from that wake, right? I mean, right?
yeah. Dax,
That's why I think
right?
you had more to do
Yeah.
with it. But
Mike Western,
it was
yeah.
so basically,
But before the end of it, yeah, definitely to get him to production, that was that was a trip.
Okay, yeah. So I forgot how we hooked up with this manufacturer, but they're out of Seattle and they did a lot of wakeboards, right? Yeah, wakeboards.
Yeah.
So they have like a foam compression, technology and yeah, and those were great. And the first ones we made, we wanted to put a ton of concave in there just because we could. They're like, yeah, you can sure put.
How much do you want?
Concave in there, but
like
little did we realize,
inches,
I guess, not do real strength analysis tests or flex tests. The first versions, Gen 1, they look great, and but if you really pressured them hard and landed on them, you would crack them, which was really unfortunate. I remember we were at some demo
so
and like
beautiful.
Leon's like gonna drop it in this ramp on the first, like new Razor, Gen 1, and it's just like you just hear crap. I'm like, oh man, what? So disheartening. But ultimately, we took the concave out of those boards. It was the blade and the Razor, and those are really solid boards to this day as well.
Yeah, the one that you got on your wall right there is Gen 2. Yeah.
There's certainly no concave in that one at all.
Yeah, so flat. I had convex, but not. Yeah. That's the one I still ride. But and then shortly after that too, and maybe you could talk about this too, Joel. But we were working with Never Summer, another Colorado company with more, I guess, traditional snowboard manufacturing techniques. With the vertical lamp core and whatnot, and with the inserts put into the deck.
Yeah, they're the first on that. But yeah, that was basically it. It was just seeing what snowboarding can contribute, and to this day, obviously love composites.
Well, I have to say,
gone back to that construction recently. Full snowboard.
From the UK again with the weather side of things, if you made sure kept them all sealed, the Capcom sit boards, they're pretty much more weatherproof than the standard.
They'll last a lifetime.
So, yeah,
it's so cool to see a lot of the boards from that era. Just people still riding them, and they ride sick. It's really cool. It's durability is just awesome.
Definitely helps. So you're now producing the Razor there, and the blade. There is one of them down there as well.
Nice.
But then you produce the Comp 16 Pro, again a slightly different style of construction there. Similar. You've got a sidewall as opposed to a sealed unit as such. Again, my personal favorite. I rode a green Comp 16 for many years. I've still got one down there.
My favorite board. That's my favorite deck as well.
Sick. Nice. Yeah, those are Never Summer construction.
They work really well. Retro modded with modern matrix tracks on them, and
that's the key. Yeah.
There you go.
This one there.
She is beauty.
Damn,
look at that.
Looking good, Jay. Shit.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Somebody gave it to me.
Well, that was I believe the first ever board potentially that I rode at XBP Priory in Surrey in the UK.
Mine was a 26X.
26X.
With full snowboard bindings on it. Because it had the bull nose on it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Both in
kind of came
decks there. Again, you kept the post bindings on there, but the snowboard inserts were there.
Gave you the option,
and that also gave you the ability to now move.
That one.
No,
was it the yellow one or was the other? Was it the blue one?
It was a blue one.
Yeah, the Never Summer.
Okay, yeah.
It was a 16.
It was the partner. Yeah, it was the partner of that The one that Jason held up, but the bigger version. Yeah.
You had those, like say, those post bindings with the Velcro, but they were on a plate then. It was the first time I recall seeing a plate, so you could angle. You could then angle it so that when you put your foot in and locked it, it was in a position that was more comfortable to your personal style of riding. So another great leap forward there.
I still mess around with that. Just design wise, I go back and forth on what the right thing to do is, and there's advantages and disadvantages, but a base plate, there's a lot of advantages of a base plate, and there's still a few things that mess me up kind of design wise, and but I do often come back to that of like, okay, look, someday 4-hole pattern, adjustable, but anyway, we still haven't quite found the right one to do it or taken the plunge on that, but I'm still always tempted. It still always tempts me. There's a lot to be said for it, but at the same time, there's a lot to be said for just it adds weight. There's there's other kind of disadvantages too, but it's a good system though.
And yeah, so then after the green Comp 16, there was the release of the first of the pro models. The Jason Lee one. Again, that would have came across, I think the first time I saw that one would have been at that Quantox event when you guys came over. So that would have been
that was the first F3 binding, right? On a board.
Oh yeah.
I think there wasn't anything before that, right? That had
I think you're right.
We do also have a question. I've slightly reworded it. I'm sorry, Jonesy or Inzy. She has asked if there will ever be a re-release of her favorite board, the Jason Lee. Says out of all of the 100s, that was the one that she felt was the best for her style.
Writing that down. So the Jason Lee Pro model, that one behind you, right? The Comp 16 Pro.
The original Comp 16 Pro. There you go.
All right.
There you go. Into they're listening.
Maybe there will be. I think we've been talking about doing some kind of re-release. It's cool because it's like we have some history behind us. So now, if you re-release something, a Grasshopper or a Jason Lee Pro model, it's like, we can say it's a 20-year anniversary reunion board or something like that. I think it's a great idea.
Limited runs. You could do a limited run of
was that
designs.
All right.
Was that the reverse cap composite on that, Joel?
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first of those ones.
Yeah, I mean, I like that board honestly, and if the kind of the signature on it was a kind of not really an afterthought. I wasn't really pushing that because I felt like, I don't know. I mean, that shouldn't,
Jason's humble.
My signature's kind of small in there, and I didn't really. I mean, we were kind of coming out with a line of graphics anyway, like the volcano, and then that one. They kind of all work together. And anyway, whatever. I do like that board. I like the shape of it, and and it was the first F3 bindings. That was really, and actually, was that not the first like matrix? Matrix with the adjustable.
It was.
So that really is like, that was a huge. That really culminated a lot of some new improvements.
Masses of changes for that gen, if you like.
Rockstar hubs.
Even down to tire tread. The first time the T1.
Right.
That was we
or at least that we saw it as a
it was for sure. It was like we hit it hard that year. We definitely were like, man, it was kind of like it was as you can see, kind of a ground up. Let's just do it all. Let's make the board to end all boards, just end all innovation. And obviously that doesn't happen. Luckily, you kind of keep, you do that one. It's like, oh shit, we can do this better. And I love that board. I got one sitting up there.
They were so fast. they were so fast comparatively to everything else that we'd seen. You know, they just reacted to the way people rode much better, you know, across any given feature.
Easier adjustment. Quicker adjustment.
Yeah. I mean, actually, there were quite a few things on that, but yeah, deck wise, I love that graphic. That was such a sick graphic. But construction wise, there was nothing really too new on that. So that was kind of like just, you know, from the Never Sign, the first cap construction one. That was definitely new, but performance wise, the deck was very similar. But to me, it was the F3 bindings were major. That was huge, and the first Matrix truck of having that adjustability. And it had the great bearing kind of pivot. There was a lot there. I think to me those were the two things. You know, the adjustable trucks and the F3 bindings. They're big.
Well, I think all of those designs, those design features, have pretty much been there and thereabouts, even right the way up to modern day. You know, you've refined the product from that there to, you know, even to current days.
It's been very incremental since then. I agree. That was a jump. That was a jump for sure. It was like, all right, ground up, let's rethink this thing. Then they're there, and then I agree. The improvements from there on were very incremental. Let's, you know, fix this, let's make this stronger, let's do that, a little bit lighter here or whatever. But I'd say that was the birth of kind of like our modern MDS mountain board.
And obviously then you're, you know, I suppose not wanting to jump too quickly ahead, but I'm sort of leaning towards a viewer question here. You've started to take that sort of, they're all 100. Am I right in assuming that the Comp 16 there became, or the next one out was the Leon, and of which there were 2 generations run of that. And then
the Bomber and the Electric Cat.
That's correct.
The Cat was sick. I love that one.
And then after Leon, you had the Kirkman.
Dan, that's a favorite.
We need to go back to the red Comp 6 at all the little Gronds.
That board still right there.
Oh well, that'll be coming. We're definitely getting there. I've forgotten where I was going now, though.
We got to the Kirkman. That Kirkman graphic behind you, man. Dan Wilson, I just love that graphic. That's such a, I don't know, it's one of my favorites of all time. That original Kirkman.
I got to say thank you to Mark Hale for donating that one to the museum there. Nice. It's had a bit of a clean up and had all its manky old stickers and stuff stripped off it and cleaned up and that, and she's looking good again now.
Oh, she's shining there in the background.
Yeah, but you know, you started around the time of the first Leon. I, as Slogs jog my memory there, you started to bring in a few other different lengths of board. The next one would have been the Comp 6, and also I think around that time you brought out the Jeremy Lee. Which, for the record, Jeremy, I've said this a couple of times, I really need to get to Jeremy for an episode. If it graces, wrong time of year now for him. I know him heading into winter. But hopefully, he will join us on for one episode.
That'd be good.
But the reason why I'm getting to asking these questions about the other, or bring this up about the other pros there. Histo from South Africa, from the 136 crew over in South Africa, has asked which rider brought the most to their board design. I mean, so I guess the question really, Joel, is do you, outside of graphics and bits like that, do you consult the riders on how they want their boards to feel, and then do they give you feedback, or do they come to you with ideas? Who sort of work with you the most closely? I mean, Dylan obviously, I'm assuming, works very closely with you now, and it'd be remiss not to have him as your favorite, because he might go, oh, why is he picking him, not me?
Yeah, in terms of like working closely and like direct, I mean, definitely Dylan, yeah, our relationship has definitely been very tight on development, and yeah, so that's been the closest one. I think prior to that, for all those ones, it was real group, group riding, group mentality. We just rode. It was the team, so a lot of it was just kind of like obvious feedback of we're riding and they break something, or it's like, oh shit, I want this to be stronger, I want this to be more stable. So it wasn't like, okay, let's set up a meeting. We're gonna meet you on Sky, blah blah blah. Let's kind of like talk about board stuff. It was just we rode, and I saw what broke and I saw what didn't, and watching people ride, and even like some things. I was listening to an interview with Paul Schmidt, kind of one of our idols in terms of like skate history, but it was cool hearing him talk about this, of like sometimes riders they're amazing pros and stuff like that, but he'll see things of being like, oh, when you're ollie, kind of like analyzing that, you may not even know, but there's a problem and you can't articulate it. But sometimes as a designer, it's like, oh shit, if you change that angle a couple degrees, then your board's gonna be more vertical when it kind of taps this. And so a lot of it was very just kind of a collaborative, but like naturally collaborative thing. We're just riding together, and so I'd say that for certainly for Leon and Austin, it was just like, yeah, watching them do their thing, and they would just kind of say, so yeah, it happened really naturally.
Leon's like, yeah.
Wait, say that again, Jay. I missed you.
Yeah.
Did you guys get that?
Well, I was just thinking about what Leon would have said. Like, well, what do you want on the board? You'd be like, I don't know, just go faster, maybe, or just more stable, or
I mean that was like, it. Just go faster,
like straight to the point,
Totally. That was that, and I mean the biggest contribution I can remember those guys making for me was just going from the twin shock to the quad shock, because the twin shock, those guys were like Austin and Leon. Talk about like we've been talking board stuff, like level up. Oh, this board in the Comp 16, but like rider wise, it's cool to think about riders leveling up to like just whole new, and those two for me were like that was the first next phase of like. But prior to that, it's like Jason and I,
really
it was just we were pushing the limits of the sport, and then it was like once those guys came in, it was like, oh shit, dude, just like pass the baton, officially like these.
Wait, oh my god, dude.
Oh, that blew our minds, and it was just like clearly it was the need. They needed to go fast and big. So that was just, and that was really you, Jason, in terms of the quad shot going on the grass.
I remember them showing up. Okay, first time I met them, it was in northern Colorado. We were at an event that we were putting on. Patrick Thomas was throwing it. It was like totally awesome event at some motocross place. And somehow Austin and Leon, this is really like, I don't know if it's pre-internet. It was like 2000 or 98 or 99 or something like that. And they drove their van from like Seattle area,
Washington,
around there, all the way to Colorado. Friends like parked there in a van. We're like, who are these people in this van that are just like parked here? They roll out all kind of haggard, from like driving 3 days or camping, and they brought their XT boards. They had like, their skateboards with the XT wheels, which is a huge contribution to the in general conversation about mountainboarding. I mean, in the 80s, I mean, those 100mm or maybe slightly bigger urethane wheels, I mean, that was really the off-road skate, the dirt board, but those guys show up with those boards, and back then it was like, anybody, you could just race whatever you want, just whatever, you're going to go down the hill the same. And it was just like they were great skaters, they were tough, kind of burly, and just like charged it on the skateboards with the XT wheels. And I was like, man, this is but and I was like, you guys should try this. You know, this sport is a grasshopper. I was like, you should try this grasshopper. I bet you'll probably like it. I mean, I was inside, I was like, these guys are gonna totally rip on this thing. Oh my God, this is amazing. And they're kind of reluctant at first. You know, they're like, I don't know, this is pretty good like this. You know, could just do, you know. I was like, I don't know, man. You should just try it sometime. I'll let you borrow one, or you know, or get you one. And anyway, long story short, you know, I totally remember once I started. You know, we saw them ride the mountain board, the grasshopper or whatever, for the first time. I was like, that's the next level up. You know, just somebody really to push it beyond what we're doing, or in different ways. And yeah, it was huge.
It was just both so good, so good. You know, yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, admire a lot of riders, but that was next level. So that just like, you know, it wasn't so much a conversation. It was just like riding with them and seeing, oh shit, we need to make this thing more stable. We need to make it stiffer. We need, you know, just like, you know, trying to catch up to their riding style. It was like, oh shit, we need to catch up because they pushed it pretty far.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, Leon and his brother Austin, when they came over here, I mean, Leon, I think, spent the longest time out of them over here. They were untouchable. They really were. I mean, the amount of the finals of any of the mountain board comps, you could guarantee pretty much, well, before Tom Kirkman made it to the adult category, you could guarantee Pete Tatham, it'd be Leon would be in the gates, and the other two positions would be up for grabs, but you would always see Pete and Leon would be in those gates every time. I
remember the Quantocks, you know, like me and Sansoni and Sayer, we all like slid out in a quarterfinal or whatever. I mean, you know, just whatever. It was wet and gnarly and muddy, and Leon made it to the finals, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember seeing it from the bottom. It's like it curved and it dropped down a ways, right? And the last turn and drop was just really intense. And I just visually, I was looking up and I was like, holy shit, Leon's, I don't think he won, but he made like an awesome like pass around somebody. And oh man, it's just visually, I just remember hardcore. It's just him, just like, I was like, man, way to represent, Leon. Fuck yeah. Just like, it was a great race. You know, it's just awesome. The whole trip was awesome, but I remember really vividly how impactful it was.
I mean, having him come over and spend so much time in the UK, I think really it ignited the scene. It certainly ignited freestyle massively in here. You know, we'd had obviously, I think you'd come over before, and like you say, a Coney had been over, and you know, there'd been a few visits as such. But Leon sort of was a long-termer for quite a while, and yeah, must have been such a massive inspiration to so many riders in the UK.
There was a lot of talk at the centres, wasn't there, after a weekend away?
Yeah, it was quite a sight to behold. But then, and unfortunately, I don't think their times racing each other with Tom and Leon probably didn't overlap by that much in the UK. Maybe a season or a season or two, maybe maximum, I would have thought. But yeah, so you know, it's like you say, the passing of the torch comes through as Leon goes back to the US, and then we were brought out and graced with the Kirkman era.
Another, and Nick as well. It's funny, the brother thing is really interesting, because I mean, Tom, you know, that. Well, back to Leon. I mean, Leon was really the name. I mean, obviously it's the name on the board, Leon Robbins, but man, Austin, and Leon for sure. Like, back to style. I love style. Like, that's a big part of like what I appreciate in any writing or just anything in general. And Leon's style, damn, dude, I just absolutely have always loved his style. But Austin, dude, I mean, different in the style. To me, he didn't have as much style as Leon, but he was just so badass and just a badass dude in general, but that's what I'm saying that. But yeah. And Mick, God, talk about, anyways, getting on the style side of things, Mick Kirkman, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that's a kid that we see back in the day. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I haven't seen Mick probably since the mid 2000s, maybe, because of going over to France. In my mind's eye, he's still that little chap with the long hair, just absolutely boosting off of stuff. He's never grown up in my mind's eye. But the pair of them were just so good, and I think sorry, Jason.
Oh, I was just gonna say before I forget. One thing I wanted to make sure I remember to say is like, I think of a lot of this from a visual perspective. Like, I remember this scene, I remember this photo, I remember them coming down this way. But Paul Taylor's photos of the scene for several years, with the Kirkmans, and one just cemented how just amazing the sport is. I think, and other people. I mean, credit goes out to so many people for creating this fantastic sport. But Paul just took some epic photos, and one in particular is like, it's a forest scene, and like there's this tree, and maybe there's somebody in the background, but little Mick Kirkman, like, he was small.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how old he was, like, but full pads, launching over this root system, and I was like, oh my God, that was like the future kid that it's just huge for me. Just seeing that, I was like, man, that's amazing. Just blown away by his writing.
That's a really cool. I like that. Like, we were talking about, board development, and then we've kind of like, oh, there's this other, thing of just writer development. But man, photography is such a good point of, and videography, like that is such a key part of that kind of, that trio to bring it to life. And I agree. Seeing the stuff, Paul Taylor stuff, is like that was a really special era. And I mean, thanks, there's a lot of thanks to go out to so many people in the whole scene. And I never even, met Paul Taylor, but just have so much respect and appreciation for the shots.
Yeah, without
he contributed. I mean, God.
He more than served his time documenting our sport back when it was analog. I mean, at the end of the day, we got it easy, me and Slugs. We sit and do a video call and then do a bit of editing of an evening after work and stuff like that. Where, I think going out and filming in probably 35mm back in those days, and then, who knows? But he's another chap that I would love to have on the show. Cool. But he's aloof at best of times these days. But that's no bad thing. That's no bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a quick check of where we're at on these questions here now. I think I can look to start trying to draw you towards one of them there. So again, we've got the green the green Comp 16 there. The Comp 16 Pro has now started to come out, and you guys are spreading your wings as a company and as a sport. It's starting to draw a bit of attention from the outside world. Demos are happening, trade shows. You guys are starting to do things like your core tour and learn to ride experiences and that, and trying to spread the word all pre-internet. And that was the way things were done back then. There were advertising budgets four companies were a lot bigger. You'd have actual adverts running around at the time.
Yeah.
But in the UK we've had a lot of centres where people could come at any time and learn how to ride. That was supported by the association, the ATBA UK, and their sort of desire to give a standardized sort of ability for instruction and learning to ride. And we also used to go and do the same as you guys, that model of going to do an event and then having a little learn to ride sessions going on. So the reason why I mention this is because, as I say, it does tie in with one of the questions. And I'm wondering, do you guys still do any demos? I know, Joel, you have the Australian Mountain Boarders demos that you guys have done over there recently. Taking that airbag on tour is a cracker for that, because it keeps people healthy at the same time as
love it.
But do you think,
and the thing with Dylan as well, he is bang on with the socials. So we all got to see virtually like a bit of every show that you've done at the country fairs and stuff.
Amazing. Yeah.
But yeah, do you guys think that is there any plans or anything to reintroduce tours into the US scene or anything? Or as the question is, let me get this, kind of comes in from Brian Hoffman. Do you have any plans to bring back Learn to Rides? And if not, is it something that he could suggest to you and help you with in US soil? He's obviously doesn't know necessarily how it works. I've spoken to him a little bit about sort of insurance or liability and stuff like that as a instructor, and how it works in the UK, but I don't know how it works in the US. And is it something that would be worthwhile for you guys, or is it, what's the crack with live performances?
Yeah, man, that's tough, because I think from the very beginning, it was all about, let's get out there and show people how this is done. And it evolved into like, a bigger ramp and a bigger ramp. And now a ramp that like folds up on another ramp on top of another ramp to like do this. And we were trying to like walk the line of like, show people how amazing it was and let people try it safely as well. It was always it was a challenge really to do that. And to our credit, like we did a lot of shows, like, the school tour in California in 2010s-ish, maybe, or 6 or something. Josh Nepper, Leon, and a cast of people, Jason Smalls and Dave Stiefvater, Devin Garland and stuff. They did like 160 shows in California in, I think, like 180 days. Like in 3 months, they did like 160 shows. We made the trailer that folds down and fits in, and you could technically set the whole thing up in a half an hour, if you're 4 people, and it was amazing. But man, I was always worried. Every time that it was out on the road doing stuff, I was just always worried people were going to get hurt. I mean, obviously, people get hurt, but it was so I had unease with it too, because it's hardcore. They're pushing themselves. Most of the demos were on, pavement or whatever. And we did Branson for a year. We did, for a whole summer, 180 shows there too. And I don't know where I was getting at with this. I mean, trying to blend basically performance show and then let people try it. It was a lot of work. And it was really challenging, really important, to get people on the board and to show people. We're not doing it right now. We're just not. I wish we were more, But
I think I've talked to Dylan. I mean, obviously we do the Australian mountain board stuff. I mean, really, Dylan, that's Dylan's baby, and I just help. I'm on the welder doing shitty welds, making obviously making the ramp system, stuff like that, and ride when there's nobody else to ride. But it's great. We love it. We love it just because it's a community thing. It's like I still get so much satisfaction from teaching people to ride. Just yeah, and I think for a sport, I agree with Brian. I think it really is a critical, or maybe not critical, but it's such a great way. You can talk, and people see it, and some people just get it from kind of seeing it, but a lot of people don't get it until they actually ride, and then they're like, oh shit, I get it, and it kind of clicks. So it's great. Dylan does a great job with that. He's actually talked about going over and kind of doing that same thing over in the US. I think he, in general, I mean, might be speaking for him, but he'd like to spend, maybe a bit more time in the US. This last trip was great, but, he's got a ton of good stuff going on there relationship wise with influencers, and Ricky's there, but he's definitely talked about going over and doing a tour type of thing. But I think it's tough. The other part of it is like here, the way that we do it is, and it's kind of the way that it worked when MBS US was doing it, but it's got to kind of like stand alone. And I think that is through the entertainment value, because someone's got to kind of like pay for it. Like we found as a company, it's really expensive to pay riders, fuel, traveling around. It's an incredibly expensive thing to do. So it doesn't, in terms of like the payoff in terms of board sales, it doesn't work. It's still really important, but just financially it doesn't. You got to think in business terms as well. So it doesn't in terms of like, hey, we just sell this many boards, but it does if you tie in the entertainment value of it. So there's people, that's why we do a lot of these little country shows and things like that. Yeah. It's like, oh hey, they want some entertainment, great, we get a ride, we got our team, it's fun, we got an airbag, we teach some people, spread the love a little bit. So I think it does kind of work in that model. And also I think, that's
a good model.
Guys like AJ and local places, that, Ruby Hill, and just kind of like a Sunday, hey, you got some boards, and kind of teaching people to ride. So I think it exists there. I mean, I see potential for it for sure. And I think it's such a great thing, but it's just kind of finding that right mix. It comes down to people, a lot of it, because like I said, just internally as a company, it doesn't work. But when you get the right mix of a Dylan or a Brian Hoffman, or someone who's like energized and actually loves mountain boarding, loves spreading mountain boarding, and is good at kind of teaching people, and can kind of find I think to make it viable you need a business case for it, of like, okay, it's entertainment, or it's this or that's other, because otherwise it just doesn't sustain itself. So I think you got to be creative to kind of make it work, at least break even financially. I mean, that doesn't need to like be a huge money spinner, but at the end of the day, a little bit of sponsorship and a little bit of something from an entertainment, or somebody kind of hiring you, and and maybe it's a $5 entry or whatever it is. I do think there is a path, and I love it.
I think
I really do. I love that side of it. It's hard, and you set up and stuff like that, but then it's fun. Like our ramp system now is really fun. Like the school tour system, it was badass, but it was sketchy, man. It was gnarly. It was just full. It had like vert dropping into it, and I remember riding it, and it was, obviously on pavement, and like being really scared, and like those guys were just so badass, but I was like, kind of like, I was badass, but not that badass. I was always like scared of that system, Whereas our system now is like, it's just fun. It's mellow. It's not super steep. You still get speed.
It's like the evolution of outboards. The evolution of that whole ramp system changes too. And it's, like when we were making the first ramps, we're like, oh, let's make it straight down and then out, and then
remember the Del Mar?
Later, like, you don't need to like go that steep to get that speed,
Remember the first Del Mar one, Jay, that out on Vapor Trail that Danye built. We didn't even drop it, right? Because it was like 8 feet
No,
of vert.
we didn't. It was too tall, and it was too.
It was like seriously, it was like
it was
gnarly. Like we had this vision in our heads, and Danye built it, and we were all out in the parking lot, like there's just no way. So we cut it down, but it was still like 4 feet of vert after we cut it down. It still had this massive vert section. It was crazy.
It looked amazing, though. It looked like it was the coolest structure too, but scary.
Yeah, it was sick. It was full, like, he was an old, I mean, great friend growing up. He was our skate crew, like my skate crew going up, really kind of tight skate crew. And was just, our thing was building ramps, man. Loved building half pipes, man. This one, first launch ramps, then, little mini ramps, and, got bigger and bigger and started building some vert ramps. Had a vert ramp in my, friend Bo's backyard that was like, it got so big, the platform went like over the sidewalk, like out into the street. So people walking past had to like walk under fence. It. But the real kind of like, craftsmanship behind that was this guy Danye Hildebrand, and he's the one who built that first Del Mar setup. It was beautiful. He's really good, amazing craftsman. Yeah. What's up, Danye?
Oh, nice. So we should probably, gents. I've only got a couple more of the viewer questions left, and I can fit them in probably at the end. To be honest with you, they're not particularly relevant to time, but they are. So we are now in the modern, what I regard as the modern era of boards. You've had the sort of snowboard designs there, and we've gone through the Kirkman era, now into the Dillon era of that
present day,
that comp 16, if you will. If we seem to have followed the comp 16's timeline, I suppose. And another big improvement there in the trucks, with the loss of springs and the addition of dampers instead. Another great sort of change up for you guys there. A very responsive feel to the rubber in there, over the springs. It doesn't seem to have as much sort of like rebound in it as much. It's a bit more predictable, shall we say, under most circumstances. So again, well done with that, and also the fact that you've moved to a continuous axle for skate park rail riding or coping tricks and stuff like that, which there was a time when rails in the UK were designed, all of them, double beam with enough width in between those two beams to fit a channel truck. But obviously the ideal, and as Mason and that did with the whole Mormonizing the trucks, as it was called, but no need for that anymore with the new ones, or the Matrix 2s. So again, well done with that. And
thanks to Dylan on that. I mean, that was really Dylan. That like we were saying before, in terms of like rider feedback, this is more getting into very specific, like, man, I need a flat grindable surface. That was a big box that we had to tick going into that. And really thankful that we did, because it's allowed him to push it even further.
And he does love a rail, that boy, doesn't he?
Yep.
Hi, man, he's incredible.
So given that's sort of bringing us up to the modern era, bringing us up to the modern era there, I have a question here from Antonio Macier in Portugal. Obviously sends his regards to you both, and he has one question for each of you. Jason, it's a reasonably simple question, this one for you on your part. Unrelated here, but Joel's yours is related to this next bit. Jason, he asks, do you still free ride these days as a current rider, or are you just into free riding now?
Wait, did you say do you still free ride, or are you just into free riding? Or
No,
wait,
do you still freestyle,
freestyle? Yeah. Or are you
or
just
do
into
you
free
just
riding?
free ride
Yeah.
these days?
Oh, well, I guess just free riding for the most part. I mean, freestyles, I mean, sure, I've launched and jumped. And I mean, Colorado were the only place that not the only place, you can ride wherever you want. But I love riding BMX tracks because they had the jumps and the hips and the rollers, and it was a great crossover from BMX. And now Colorado, the Front Range of Colorado is such an epic place to ride. You got all these fantastic freestyle spots, Valmont and Boulder, Ruby Hill in Denver, Frisco Bike Park. So, the jumps are great. And now I'm just, getting older. I'm going less big and certainly less spins. I still like to think that I could ride freestyle, but certainly it's, not like people these days. I guess free ride is my style now, free ride and carbon, but I still love catching air. Yep.
Nice.
And so Joel, going back on there, if we're assuming we're now at the current day, there. In fact, we can tie two of these questions in here. So yeah, Antonio's question to you, Joel, is, in fact, hold up. I'm going to skip back. I'm going to go to James Wanklin's question here, because they're both in the same time on here. Now we're up to modern day. He asks, what of all the incarnations and various generations do you have a favorite, a personal favorite of all the different
This is boards?
Yeah.
That's a really interesting, that's a good question, actually. I have
I missed that.
The question, yeah. Do I have a favorite incarnation of all the different boards? Like, I think as a designer, and I don't know if this is a positive thing or not, but I'm very like not critical, but like analytical. So I mean, I love everything, but sometimes, every single one, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what the problem was with that one. So even now, I'm always like, oh yeah, that it's, nothing's ever perfect. So I'm always wanting, the best one is still in the future, for me, which is, it's kind of a mixed thing. But at the same time, if you kind of flip that around, every generation I can find something that I really, love about that one. Like, and we touched on a lot of those things, but with that, I mean, right now for me, I'm a prototype rider. So, I mean, you got, the newest one is back there, and it's just like, I'm so excited, just so excited about the new board. So it's kind of like, it's a plug for the new stuff, obviously, but obviously the latest one is my favorite because, I wouldn't have designed it the way that I did if it wasn't. But kind of going back through a few of the other ones, and I know a really like popular, it's a favorite. I think this is a pretty common favorite. Just if I have an old school board, that retaliation. No heel straps. But I ride that with the Matrix 2s on. The retaliation with the Matrix 2s. That's a really, in terms of like a historic board, that board is sick. But yeah, this this one, I guess we're allowed to show this now, and people have been riding over in the UK. It's like, dude, it's fun. It's fun because, I mean, really, a lot of the inspiration for that one, I mean, yeah, obviously, Dylan, is huge, and kind of little things in the shape, that the graphic and all that type of stuff. But I was really trying to kind of get back to that, the Kirkman, the Pro 95. We kind of drifted away from that for a little bit, kind of a few things. One, Dylan come from skate and kind of going back to that skate technology. And two, also thinking, the market kind of, goes up and down. And I think it was kind of like I had this mentality, which I think was actually, for a few years, maybe a bit of a mistake, but it was kind of like, hey, I really wanted even our high-end stuff to be as affordable as possible. Cause that's, we love pushing boundaries, but we really like getting people on boards, just mount, whatever it is. It's cool. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you can see it both ways, but for MBS, we have been really kind of like price conscious. Cause I've always thought like, look, make them as affordable as possible, just so more people, can ride. So and I believe in that, but but now with the new line, I've kind of gone back to separate and say, okay, look, we got a lot of affordable options. We got Colts and cores and that type of stuff. And now with the high end, I've just gone back to saying, you know what, fuck it, like we're gonna make the best damn thing. And not that we don't care how much it costs, but we're just gonna make the best board, because that's what we want to ride. So that's the one. And if you can't afford it, totally get it. There's another option for you. But for the people that just want the best possible one, we've kind of gone back to that. So that's just pure snowboard, vertical lam, composite, just, no holds barred. So that's it. I loved all that reverse composite, cap composite stuff, and just snowboard construction. But yeah, I'd have to say it's the latest. The latest is the greatest for me.
Yeah, we've seen it in the flesh, me and Dan. We've been lucky enough to see her in the flesh.
And I'm just waiting for the day. Waiting for the day.
It's coming.
That's lovely.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
They're really nice shape to them.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Really happy perimeter shape. I love it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Jason? Which is your favorite incarnation of the MBS board range?
Oh, God dang, man, that's tough. I think the one that stands out first is probably the second Leon Robbins board with the cat on it, the cat painting. I don't know, because I think it was a solid board. I mean, performance was great. His uncle did the art, and I thought it was just totally cool. I just loved the way it looked. I mean, that just really resonated with me, that board, more as a visual thing than technology. Because at that point, to me, we're up at a level to where, all the writing you can do, most things you want to do on a mountain board could be done with that technology. Good deck, bindings, trucks, whatever, it worked. I mean, we're making these incremental steps now, and everyone is great, but they're smaller. And I think once we got up, to the Leon Pro model and above, the technology was great. So to me, it's more visually standing out, what looked the coolest, I guess, or what embodied maybe, the personality, who was the writer, like that one, Leon. And the Kirkman stuff, I love that art. I love the art. I loved how we were kind of transitioning to, well, not transitioning, but, snowboard, skate style art. It just doesn't have to be, down this path of design, or these, sets of designs that go together. It's like, it can be anything. It's like the lip tech, weird, cool stuff. I mean, to me, that's what makes those boards stand out and memorable to me is really the art, as well. And that Revolution board looks so sweet. Just like, I love that one too.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, that's major. I mean, just art in general, working with the artists, working with the writers to kind of bring, those in, all Dan stuff, it's just so that one behind you, that's so cool. Sick. Just getting more kind of personality, onto the board, I think is, that was great. I really like that.
Oh, excellent. So then, that just leaves Joel Antonio's second or last question as such there. And we have touched on this a little bit because you've just shown us the board behind you there, the new Dylan. but he does ask, where do you see design for the boards progressing next? So I we have been privy to being able to get our grubby little mitts on a go of the latest Dylan Warren deck there. It was set up on Matrix 2's, the board that I had a go on, but now I noticed there's a couple of Matrix 3's been lurking around. Are we allowed to talk about that? Or
yeah, I think we decided at the
yeah.
beginning of this we're going to hold the release of this at least until we are allowed to. So let's let loose, man.
Yeah, apologies if you've been waiting for this episode to drop and it's been like a month or so since we asked for the questions. Bear with us, it will come out, and it will come out when the time's right, which is now.
Yeah. So I guess getting to Antonio's question, I think for us, one thing I think is good is that, I mean, I have preconceived ideas, okay, where things are going, obviously to some degree, but we're very rider focused, and that's not just a plug, but really, where this is going to go next is really up to Antonio when he gets his feet on it and rides. Right. And just I'd like to, just appreciation to just the Portugal scene. Like, this is just coming from Dylan and the time that he spent over there. He was so energized, there's all different things going on in different scenes, but he just said those guys are just killing it, and like it's the real like MBS spirit of like, hey, limited resources, they don't got like tons of money, they got limited parts, it's kind of hard to get stuff, but they just make it happen. And he was showing me some like re-welded, they break a truck and they can't get another one, but they're like doing their own like welds and shit. It was just like really inspiring, super grassroots, just real gritty type of stuff. So that was really cool. And that's it. I mean, it's kind of wherever people like that say, we need to wait until this kind of gets out there and just listen. All those guys just send me the feedback. We say it in tech talks and stuff, and it kind of sounds cliche, comments. Leave comments below, but yeah, we do listen to it. And I think that's one good thing, originally, I think, anybody like as a designer, create anything you put out there, it's kind of like, it's a bit personal. And, in the beginning, I definitely took, criticism kind of personally, but now it's like, it's been 20 years, so it's like, dude, not that I don't care, it's just like, you can't hurt my feelings, like, just lay it on, dude, seriously, just because that is the only way. Just if something shit, and we it's kind of like the flip side of the other thing, what are the worst things that we've produced, and we put some stuff out there that has been bad. I mean, I hate to say it, but like the original, I think design wise, we've always done pretty good, but, we've been let down certainly on quality stuff in the past. Original Rockstar 2, that was such a Rockstar hub, man, this thing was so badass, so light, but they broke, you know what I mean? They broke because we had some material things, and it's just like, these headaches. So, certainly in the beginning, I think I was really like, quite sensitive to that stuff, but now it's just like, nah. Anything, seriously, tell us, post it, whatever, because it just means that the sooner you do that, the sooner we're going to make something that's even better. But with this one, I mean, it's pretty damn good. And I think that that's what's kind of driven everything on this one. And they are incremental things, but even when, I'm glad you guys love the Matrix 2, but even the Matrix 2, I think there were some things from like the old Matrix Spring style that kind of like didn't get addressed by the Matrix 2. So I think on the Matrix 3, we've even addressed some of that stuff by like widening the turning. That's one thing I love about the Matrix 3 is we've just like taken the turning resistance and we've pushed it so far out that it's like, on the inside position, we've gone back to having kind of two positions for the shock blocks. On the inside one, with these soft shock blocks, it's totally our old San Fran days of like, man, you can just just carve circles going down the street.
Nice.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it, on the outside position with like the stiffest blocks, the red ones now, you can't turn. And who would ever want that? Nobody would ever want that. But I just wanted to make sure nobody could say they want this thing to go straighter or stiffer or faster, because literally you can't. You crank that down one turn. You cannot turn it. You can only go straight. So just if you want to go 1,000 miles per hour, you know, and not turn, seriously, you're going to be able to do it. So I've just like made sure I've kind of bookended those two, so nobody can come on either side. And then obviously fully adjustable in there, and there's a happy place everywhere in there for anybody. So yeah, psyched. But we do listen on any of those ones, even if it was like a comment made 5 years ago when the Matrix 2 came out of like, hey, somebody, you know, wants it, you know, stiffer this or whatever. It's like, yep, I literally have a list. You know, and it's been a long time coming. It's been 7 years. I mean, it's been 7 years since the Matrix 2 came out. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of stuff. I love that truck. It's badass, but you know, I still had a list of a lot of things to kind of like fix and improve upon. So it's incremental, but it's pretty badass.
Very badass.
Is the ever growing electric scene ever something that you guys take into account with your designs these days? I mean, because if I look around, certainly the UK scene, there's quite a lot of DIY builds going on, and a lot of them use your products in those.
That was huge. That was huge on this. Yeah, go ahead, Slug.
I've seen a fleet of MBS electrics in Japan. I've seen a photo of that.
Yeah, I think
Macken's been doing heaps. Yeah, Macken's been doing heaps over there. But in terms of like the design part of that question, massively, and that was, you know, I think another kind of design consideration. I mean, sometimes there's like a hubris of like, hey, I'm a designer, man, I know what's up, or like not even personally, but it's like coming from mountainboarding, I kind of thought as electric people started coming in, I was like, okay, well, these are going to be fine for those guys because we're mountainboarders, we're badass, we go huge, you know what I mean? And like there's no way they could ever do anything to a truck that's ever going to break it, you know, because we go bigger, you know. And that just so surprised me that actually was not the case. These guys, two things. One, they put miles on these things. They ride so hard and so long. It's not like you never have to go up the hill. So just the number of miles, you know, kilometers that they put on these is huge. So that was one thing that I hadn't factored in.
You don't gotta hike.
Gotta hike, man. The other thing is just there are a lot of kind of like you know, mechanics of it, of really braking and accelerating are different forces that I hadn't, you know, originally I kind of hadn't, you know, factored into it. And they push the limit of a lot of the stuff, you know. We don't see like tons of Matrix, you know, 2s break, but the ones that break it typically are electric guys, and they've been riding it for a year or 2 years, and you know, they snap that little weld or you know, on the kingpin sleeve or whatever. So yeah, I'd say probably more than half of the feedback of little kind of tweaks that we made on this actually came from electric dudes. So yeah, really inspired by that whole scene, especially the forum side of it. There's like, they're just brilliant. I mean, I don't know, I have so much respect. These guys are so damn smart and passionate, and it's a real I see so much of that early MBS, you know, anything that's new and changing, and the vibe's super duper good. So so yeah, definitely we're really focused on that in terms of like one of the sources of feedback that we get, especially on the truck. Yeah.
And Joel maybe mentioned that the hub too, in regards to, I mean, you know, the weight balance.
Yeah, we got some new hubs. Got some new hubs coming out. If we're letting loose,
bring it forward.
All right. Yeah, I thought this was cool, for sure. Joel will explain it, but yeah, I mean, you know, the new truck, I mean, it really has the electric modifications in mind, because there's so much DIY, and consistently having the parts that work good with DIY was huge on this last one.
Yeah, and even change the profile, making those a little easier for mounts and stuff like that. But yeah, I've got some new kind of Rockstar. Let's see if we can get. I don't know if we're gonna get nice new kind of Rockstar. And these are looking pretty good. But new Rockstar Pro, so they're the aluminum ones. But I'll see. We've even kind of like faceted the insides of these guys for balancing weights. We do kind of like balance, weights to get that like perfect no wobble for electrics. And that's really something from electrics, because once you get those things spinning and going fast, you guys know, I mean, there's just the valve stem alone is that eccentric load that can kind of cause something to shake, but, also kind of different, the tires are never totally perfect. There might be like a little heavy spot in one side. So kind of being able to kind of like place those little, balance weights on those flat things. So yeah, no, definitely been paying a lot of attention to electric for a long time, and trying to make sure that every product that's coming out in this line addresses all the feedback that they've been given.
Oh, awesome. Well, hey, we wish you the absolute best with the new line, and cannot wait to get
nice
proper
get a little mitts on it.
Yeah,
good.
Listen, guys, this is absolutely incredible, and I'm having a whale of a time here. But it is getting rather late over here now, and I'm looking at the time thinking, Christ, I've got to be up for my brother's wedding in a few hours.
Oh shit!
We've been talking like on 3 hours. Damn, we can talk, dude. It's
been brilliant though.
Yeah, look, we no episode. Oh, there's one last viewers' question that I've got to do. That I think, and this comes in from a fantastic lad in the UK scene. I don't know whether you may have heard of him or come across him before. Aidan Beamish. He sent in a very cool question. It's not particularly on topic of any description, but I enjoy it, and I hope you do too.
Hello, boys from the Dirt and the Lee brothers. Very interested in this podcast. My question to you is, if either of you could be any cheese, what cheese would it be and why? Cheers.
American all the way. just kidding. Joel, you go. You go. You like
no doubt about it, dude. I mean, Stilton stinky ass blue cheese, just all the way. Just like, it's got the stink. It's something about the style, man. I don't know what it is, but just the stinkier the better. Just wow. Yeah, I don't know if you guys get. There's even better than that. There's this blue brie here in Australia.
Yeah.
Now I'm just talking about appreciation of cheese, but it's like, it's a brie, it's a creamy type of thing, but it's got all the kind of like
little blue veins in it.
Blue veins, yeah. Oh, dude.
Okay.
That's what I mean, because it emanates style and stink
in the room. Yeah. My go-to cheese in general, like when I get stuff for crackers, it's like Munster with the orange rind. It's pretty mellow. And then just nacho cheese in general, for some reason, it's just so weird and
in a squeezy bottle.
This is like American. This is like American nacho cheese.
Totally.
The plastic
with the ladle. You ladle it on like a chili cheese dog or something. And I like provolone on a sandwich.
Yeah.
Nice.
And here's do you guys know Tasty cheese? Is that just Australian or is that UK as well?
Tasty.
It's not an American thing. Yeah. Anyway, tasty just because of the name. Doing something tasty. Tasty trick, something like that. Great question though. Challenging, really challenging question. Putting us on the spot with the
cheese into the board design somehow, maybe.
Yeah, I like
there was a time when I first started, when we first started this back, that I would literally read anything that any of the viewers would send in, and it started to get a bit silly. it's starting to get a bit silly. I was getting some
That's the best.
yeah, not altogether the best sort of things that I want to be asking guests that have given up their time to come and spend with us.
That's good.
But
That's a good
occasionally
one.
we still get a good little nugget one like that in.
Yeah.
Slogs, have you got a 10 set ready for the boys?
Well, I did have a 10 set ready, but the 10 set's been whittled down by the amount of readers' questions, but viewers' questions. So we'll go for what I've got left.
All right.
But they asked some banging questions. Right, so I'm just going to throw them at you.
Are you going to do them both at the same time? Or are you
We'll
going
have
to
our
do
hands on our buzzers.
Lightning round.
Reg or goof?
Regular.
Regular. Both. I'm trying to ride Switch now. That's what I've been focusing on. Trying to ride Switch.
Nice, Joel.
All right.
Border cross or freestyle?
Border cross.
Oh, shit.
Freestyle border cross.
Freestyle border cross.
Free cross.
Free cross.
Yeah.
Free cross.
Border cross or free ride?
Free ride.
Yeah, free ride. Free ride border cross.
Free ride border cross.
Yeah.
Been talking about a little
We
event.
should do
Free
that.
cross
Yeah.
again.
Seriously.
Yeah. All right.
Favorite rider from the past?
Free rider.
Favorite
rider.
rider.
Oh, favorite rider.
Yeah, from the
Dude.
past.
Man, that's really difficult, but I'm gonna go with Mark Shaw, Huck Fu.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
And
Damn.
that's a
Yeah,
name
it's
that I've heard
such
of for many a
intense
year.
style. Intense style.
Yeah, I'm going with I don't know. I don't want to go with an obvious one, but from the past, I'm not right. I'd go with Austin Robbins, badass.
Right. Favorite current rider? You got
Yuya.
some loyalty to keep here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love him. Absolutely.
Such a nice guy.
It's impossible. It's impossible to choose, but yeah, exactly. He's just such a beautiful person, and he to me, I will always default to style. And I mean, not to say, I mean, God, just Dylan's style, just everybody's kind of style, but
Yeah.
Oh damn, I don't know now.
So
I'll tell you
bad. I
what.
feel so bad.
Eamon and Evelyn have really captured my. Oh, let me go to Jason. Let me think about this.
All right. My answer is this guy who came in the shop the other day is named Josh Rappaport, I believe, and he just got a Comp 95 and was like so in love with mountainboarding. And like he's my favorite rider right now because he's so passionate about it. And I see him, occasionally he'll come in the shop for like tubes or something. That's a cop out answer, but no, seriously,
No, that's
that
a
new
good
rider.
answer.
That new rider.
I like
New
that.
rider's got
I
the
don't
passion
think
of
that's a
rider.
cop-out answer at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, if that's a cop out answer, I'm going with Eamon, Emlyn, and Yuya together and do a superhuman. But to those guys, oh my God, just I'm so psyched. I'm so psyched that they are riding. I mean, damn, I just can't even say just the MBS team right now. And thanks to Dylan for kind of like he's really kind of the force rebuilding the MBS team and seeing those guys. I've seen some things. Let me just say I've seen some things that you guys haven't seen. Okay, let me say that. And oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all I'll say.
Well,
and yeah,
that's something to look
beautiful
forward
people.
to.
Yeah, in terms of edits that are coming out, and those guys, Jesus, dude. Yeah, style. All those guys are like just so high on the. So 3. I'm copping out outside the box. 3 people.
Three fine people. 3 good answers in one answer.
Yeah.
Favorite border cross track?
Cracker Ridge.
Yeah. Cracker Ridge.
You guys.
Yeah.
Right, you have to find some footage of that so we can put it up here.
Okay.
Damn. Yeah.
That was badass. Amazing.
Yeah.
It was.
You have some footage of that, right?
Yeah, we got some awesome footage of it. Great racing there. It was outside of California. It was this little resort, I think that Josh Nipper helped us get into.
Yeah.
And like somehow, I don't know, there's other people involved in it. It wasn't just us, but somehow like they built this huge, awesome track, like huge berms, hay bale lined drops. And it was like kind of a dream track, you know, at the time.
It
Certainly
seriously,
it was the coolest at the time.
It was incredible. It was the best design. Oh my God. Yeah. And just the racing on that of just full on, you know, Leon, Austin, UJ, and just like passing and all. Oh, dude, that was like
great.
It was insane. That was insane. Yeah, by far for me, Cracker. There's been so many good ones, but Cracker.
I look forward to seeing the footage of that because I do love a board across track.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this one, but I just want you both to confirm it. Best free ride spot.
Ooh. Yeah,
well,
I mean,
there's the obvious Moab, I guess, but it's the spot we're still trying to find, which is not Moab, but it's somewhere in between Grand Junction and Moab. Of like Cody and Mason did that at it. What was that? Blue Castle out near Green River. Yeah, that stuff is so amazing, but it wasn't. It's a little soft, but man, that's the free ride that I'm looking at doing the next time.
Was that for their 4 Down video that they did a few years back?
Yeah, I think so. And we found on this last trip, we kind of found that spot, and it was just that western slope of Colorado, the Colorado Plateau as it goes into Utah. It's just epic free riding, you know.
And just epic scenery. Yeah, epic scenery too. Sedalia, you know, all that Sedalia stuff's really fun too, and little drops and foresty things. But to me, yeah, it's just kind of not a cop out answer. I hate to do obvious answers, but Moab, just Moab.
Yes, Moab.
I think it's got to be on every mountain boarder's bucket list in this country anyway. From the footage you see of it, it's just like jaw dropping.
It's so cool.
Reunion, and just on that, the concept is reunion. We're gonna do a reunion event out in Moab. All you guys, all the old schoolers, everyone around the world, let's convene. I don't know when. We're just kind of talking.
2025.
Jason called it, and it's going to be a competition though, you know. So it's going to be a big free ride, everybody thing. But then we're going to do like an invitational, you know, 16 riders. You, Dylan, and just all from the past, you know, and it's going to be a free ride out in Moab. And we're just going to camp.
Bring their favorite
full
cheese.
week of camping out in the desert.
Oh,
Jason, just call it 2025.
It's not like I've not wanted to go there since the first time I ever see Rough Riders. Or, you know, Down 31, ever since those days. Oh my goodness, I need to go to that. It's you know, we have Cleve Hill in the UK, which is traditionally sort of, you know, the birthplace of no snow. But I
rode there.
Nice.
With Pete and them.
But you know, Mecca for me has always been Moab. So there's got to be. I just need to persuade the wife that I need to take, you know, 10 days off or more to travel to America alone.
What we need to do is do a trip like Dylan's done. Do them all in one hit down. Just have a world tour.
Exactly.
Just gone for months.
3 month, tour of death. Oh my God, let's kill them. Yeah, do it. Yeah, bring your wife, bring everybody. Just let's go. It's kind of like set up shop there for a month. I'll live there. Work remotely, live in the desert. I don't know. Same.
Yes. Sounds good to me. Right, last question. What does a future hold for MBS?
That's another little pocket through the trees, man. I can see the gap, but you don't know what's beyond the pocket, man. You don't know what's beyond the pocket till you get
around that next corner.
We're just coming to that pocket right now with some new stuff, dude. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, our goal from the beginning has been to, you know, ship boards every day. If people are buying boards, you know, we're shipping them. We're there to make them, get them out to people that want them, you know, around the country, around the world. And I don't know, to continue to do that would be fantastic. You know, even if it's nothing, super grand. It's just keep doing it,
Oh, well, let me tell you, the pair of us, the whole community, we all love your boards. We all enjoy riding them. We enjoy all the updates that have come over the years. We look forward to the new updates that are coming and that will come in the future. And yeah, we as a community, we can't thank you enough for your input. As to anybody who produces anything for the community, we can't give enough praise and thanks, whether it be component parts, full boards,
podcasts,
podcast. Yeah, we do, and we do feel the love on that. So we really
photography.
Photography, videos, people,
magazines.
Yeah, the lot of it.
There's some very gifted video editors out there of the younger lads now. Not only are they good riders, they're really good at the social side of things and putting these videos together.
Yeah.
That's the next level.
Yeah. If we can keep the cohesion that mountainboarding has at the moment and still continue to grow, that would be an amazing.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited right now. And I mean, whatever, eternal optimist, but recognizing what Jason said, I've always thought that was one thing that Jason always said, because MBS, man, roller coaster, it's been a long time, great time, hard times, and the pockets of like, oh shit, I'm gonna hit a tree, and then you kind of open up. There's been a lot of those almost hitting trees, but the one thing Jason said, which he did then, was just, we're gonna, as long as we're producing, as long as we're shipping boards to people, if somebody wants to buy a board, as long as we can ship them a board, that's kind of like the main, that's the main goal. I really think that's a cool mentality. But on the other side of that too, I'm so just optimistic and excited. I'm excited right now. We're calling it like, it's the renaissance of, lots of little things, but I really do think right now, product wise, really exciting. Rider wise, really exciting. Obviously what Dylan has done for our brand and for the sport in general has just been massive, really projecting it out there. But because for a long time, I think it's kind of, it's been contained just because of, limited budgets and things like that, of kind of, there's only so much money, or it's only so big. And but now with social media and with Dylan, it's like, wow, with a limited budget and an incredibly charismatic, motivated, badass person, he's really kind of like helping us get it out to the mainstream again. And you're seeing people come in, it's not just kind of like maintaining what we had at one era. It's like, oh shit, people are like seeing it and asking, and so it's, to me, it's a really exciting, this next year, 2023, I'm really excited about.
It does feel like it's on an uplift again.
Definitely, yeah.
It does.
I love that.
Maybe the crest of the wave's coming back.
And I think that's the other cool thing, is tons of new people in, and I think that's it, is also for us kind of old school people, there's a real vibe happening at the moment, of like, so many people is like, okay, they rode, and names that we've talked about, and it's like, they kind of die out, but now it's kind of like, even people like that are coming back in, of like, oh shit, all it takes is, it's like the learn to ride question. You just get your feet back on the board, and it's like, oh my God, like, this is so for you. You forget how fun it is to actually ride. So there's the new stuff, and I think there's a good kind of resurgence of old school riders too. It's good times.
Yeah.
Definitely. Listen, gents, is there I suppose the final question really of the episode here is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about, or wanted to cover that we haven't thought to ask the questions about?
Yeah, you got anything?
Well, I mean, man, just showing the appreciation pretty much to everybody who's been involved in the sport along with us, on a parallel track or a separate track, and different countries, different skill levels, rider levels. It's just amazing. I mean, it's really, it's really humbling to think that, something that we helped start, in our fashion continues to this day. And it's, the community is fantastic. And yeah, just thanks to everybody out there for doing what they're doing. Either they're writers doing it, or there are other people, with companies making boards as well. Or like, yourselves, just keeping the history alive of it. I really appreciate it. And big thanks to everybody.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Exactly what Jason said. that was great. It's such a good way to summarize it, because that's it.
Yeah.
Everyone's so awesome. Everyone's just so awesome in this sport. We really feel humbled.
Well, thank you for everything you've done for the sport.
Yeah.
Really,
thank you again for the package the care package that came across.
Yeah.
We very much
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. Thank you for your time today, this morning, tonight, whatever it is now and when it started. I would love at some point down the line in the future to maybe have one of you on, both of you on again, or something of that nature in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today, gents.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've had such a good night.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That's such a good morning.
Perfect.
Yeah. And Saturday's awesome, just so you know. Saturday's amazing. You're gonna love Saturday.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And the lottery numbers are 14, 17, 47, 43, 2.
Nice. Shit, I didn't write them down.
You made it to the end.
You made it to the end. That's it. Look, guys, hopefully we'll see you in 23 at the champs, if not 25.
5:25:25.
Perfect.
Done.
All right.
Nice.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Really appreciate
Thanks for staying up.
Have a good day or evening or
Yeah,
afternoon.
right.
Yeah. See
All
you
right.
soon.
Bye, guys.
Cheers, Ian.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out, that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you gan yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the Dirty Dirt fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.